Up like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show. Weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's channel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillar. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead, hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well, but what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button, and everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media, share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we got another interesting subject. Okay. It is embarrassing for women to have boyfriends. Yes, it is embarrassing for women to have boyfriends. That's what we actually gonna talk about today, y'all. This was inspired by an article that, of course, you should see in the link in the description. Okay, you should see a link in the description with the article that was put out, and it's kind of picking up some steam, I guess. Okay, well, I ain't gonna say I guess it is picking up some steam. Lord have mercy, y'all. Lord have mercy. What? Before I go into this, y'all, let me take a quick moment out to say shout out to all the people who support the channel. I appreciate y'all. Everybody who gives views to the channel, everyone who hits the like button. And y'all remember, y'all can hit that like button anytime you want. And whoever's out there hyping me up, hype me up every time you get a chance. Might as well. Everyone who leaves comments after the stream, all this helps with the algorithm, so it gives great support to the channel. I appreciate everybody who take the time out to do that. But also, shout out to people who go above and beyond, y'all. We got people who go above and beyond, who are financial contributors to the channel. And y'all, I can't do stuff the same way without these people. You know, it just don't allow me to. Life just don't allow me to do it quite the same way without these folks. So shout out to everyone who puts a little something on the Roger Report Live. And shout out to you, because big or small, I appreciate it all. But shout out to 414 Money. I hope I'm saying that right. Oh, 414 Money, I should say. He is the sponsor of today's stream. He's been a great supporter for a good period of time. So shout out to 414 Money. Appreciate all you done, my brother. Appreciate all you've done. And that's real talk. Now, let me say what's up to a few people in the chat. It's always great that when you start the stream, you got a few people that check in the chat. They just kind of let you know they're there. Okay, they let you know they're there. I mean, shout out to my people in the clouds, but it's always great to see people in the chat when you get something started. And y'all know how I go around here. As they say, there can only be one. So shout out to Kevin 3904, who is our Highlander of today's stream. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Always great to have you in the building. Real talk, always great to have you in the building. Following him up is my main man, the one and only Chef Mike's Roundtable is in the building. What's going on, my brother? What's going on? Glad to see you. Glad to see you. We got Trail Bentley in the house. What's going on, my brother? Representing hashtag long live the habitual line steppers. Hashtag Neroes in the wilderness. Hashtag dignity over vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's babies. Hashtag Hell Hydra. Shout out to you, my brother. Shout out to you. We got Inspired Truth Broadcast in the building. What's going on, my brother? What's going on? Ton of runners in the house. What's happening, brother? What's happening? We got Floyd in here. Yay, yay. He got his seat at the cool table. My main man, Rael, is in the building as well. Good to have you. Good to have you. Bruce own Wayne is in the house. And Trash Bandit just pulled up a seat at the cool table. Great to see you. Great to see you. Afro Merchant is in the building. And we got Lawrence Ross. Okay. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Glad to see y'all in here. Glad to see y'all in here, y'all. And y'all, there was a little article that was written. Okay. Strange article. But a real article. And it gets real. But we're going to make it a little bit realer, y'all. We're going to really dive into it. Because there was an article written in Vogue magazine saying that it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend. Now, I'm going to say, y'all, real talk. For the majority of women, it is embarrassing to have a boyfriend. Let's keep that real. Let's just put that on the table. You know, you got to ask yourself, is it good to have a boyfriend? Is it bad to have a boyfriend? For most women, y'all, with a boyfriend, yes, it is an embarrassment. Now, I'm not going to agree with what the article's talking about. The article, if you took a look at it, is talking about women, clout, how they look like to subs. Like, it is really a stupid article when you think about what it's saying women are doing and why they're doing this and why they're doing it. It's like, okay, so you want to be on social media and have some subs? Okay, you want some people to follow you on social media? You know, however you want to view it or call it, you can't post your man on social media because you worried about how people who follow your content is going to react. First of all, this is some of the dumbest stuff ever, but is it consistent with what you probably would think from an average woman? Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, I think an average woman would be worried about what things are going to look like to her followers. Now, I will say this. I couldn't agree with not posting your quote unquote man online. Okay. Early. Okay. Because you don't know that man is going to marry you or not. Okay. A woman does not know that. Would I tell my own daughter to post her boyfriend online? No, I wouldn't do that. Now, would I take into account what it's going to seem like to followers to subscribe? No. No, I wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't take that into account at all because it seems stupid. Okay. Seems extremely stupid. Now, why wouldn't I tell my daughter that it's cool to post your boyfriend online? Because once you put it online, it may never go away. I mean, technically, everything's out there. It's just about who can retrieve it, who's going to retrieve it, and what they're going to do it when they retrieve it. But technically, everything out there. So no, I wouldn't tell my daughter to post her quote unquote man online. But why would I tell her? It would be a totally different reason than some nonsense about subscriber reactions. It wouldn't it I mean, the reasoning that some women are doing this is just plain stupid. But realistically speaking, okay, let's say I got a daughter. Okay, we'll make an adult. Let's say she's 18 years old. As if I ain't already had this conversation with her by this time. But let's just say she says, "Dad, okay, you know, I got this boyfriend. I like him a lot. I want to post him online. You know, what do you think?" Now, as a father, I would say, "No, don't do that. Why would you do that?" You know, and y'all know how teenagers get. Well, because I like them. You know, depending on how long they've been together. Oh, because I love him. You know, all kinds of stuff about what's going on. If I had this conversation with a 23-year-old, would I say, yeah, post? No, I still wouldn't say post. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that at all. I would say, look, I know you like the guy or you love the guy. You've been with him for some years and all that good stuff or whatever. Okay. Well, actually, hopefully, if it was my daughter, he wouldn't be with her that long. Okay. If it was my daughter, hopefully they ain't together that long. But I would say, no, you don't post him online because number one, who cares what your subscribers or your followers think of him? Why would you care what they think? That's a little silly. Okay, let's be for real. If you want to build something with this guy and you want to have a relationship with this guy, you don't need to check in to quote unquote fans, subscribers, followers, however you see them. You don't need to check in with them. Okay, because it ain't for them. Your relationship ain't for their entertainment. That's number one. If you take your relationship seriously, it ain't for strangers' entertainment. All right. If you're gonna teach if you're gonna put your relationship out there for entertainment, no. Not as a single woman. Now, how do I mean single in this context? Meaning single as you're not married. I would not want my daughter to attach herself to any man that she's not married to. Period. I don't want her to have I don't want her to share a lease with a man. Number one, okay? Now, you know, for an example, no, because I don't want my daughter living with some man and they're sharing a lease. No, I wouldn't want that. Okay. I don't want my daughter with some man's name on her phone. Okay. Point blank, period. Okay. You know, she may have a good guy. Maybe he calls himself being a provider. Baby, I'm going to get you a phone. No, don't get my daughter no phone. Get my daughter a phone after I go to your wedding. After she's married. Okay. After we celebrate the honeymoon, get my daughter all the phones you want to give her. But no, I wouldn't do that. So now, being realistic, y'all, is it a good thing for women to have these issues about posting a man online or posting about their relationships or being embarrassed about having a boyfriend? You know what, y'all? Now, I'm going to say this. When I read the article, I can pick up on, I'm going to say this article is geared toward LGBT people. That's my impression of it. You may have a different impression, but to me, it sounds like an agenda to make people comfortable being gay. Now, if you gay and you live in America, that is your right. It's your business at the end of the day. That does not mean everybody want to participate in that particular activity or that particular alternate lifestyle. Okay. Is it okay to live an alternate lifestyle in America? Yeah. If you're not harming somebody else, you're not destroying other people's property, you can live a different lifestyle. Okay. Well, the article literally says something about, we may need to rethink, what it says something about rethinking heterosexual relationships. Rethinking what's normal in heterosexual relationships. You ain't got to rethink it, y'all. If you're gay, you're gay. Okay. You know, I don't know why anybody who is or isn't gay think people have to rethink being gay. If you decide to live that lifestyle, I think you made a clear decision on what you own. Okay. I think you made a clear decision on what you own. Okay. Now, I'm not telling anybody they can't do that, but that's your business if you do. All right. There's nothing for me to rethink. There's nothing for me to rethink. Okay. I don't know what you want to accomplish by rethinking if you are or not gay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's simple, man. You want to take a dick or not? Okay. What where's the difficulty in that? I don't know what the difficulty is. And this ain't me making fun of gay people. This is me having a realistic view of what gay people do. Like, you're either gonna take a dick or not. Okay. For a man or a woman, you're gonna take a dick or not. Okay. Is that really that hard of a thing? Like, you really don't know? Okay, you really don't know if that's something you want to do as a woman or something you want to do as a man. Do you want to take one or don't you? Just never seemed hard to me. Okay. Yeah. Hey, maybe there is somebody out there struggling. You know, maybe I don't necessarily believe it, but maybe there is somebody out there. Y'all know, if you get a big enough group of people, you can find just about anything, like a man with no legs. So maybe, just maybe, somebody is out there struggling. I don't know what the struggle would be. Okay, whether you're male or a female, you're gonna have to make a decision. Do you want some dick or you won't, or not? Do you want some or don't you? Okay. Now, this also isn't to make fun of heterosexual people. Okay. I'm not making fun of anybody either way. I'm saying you got decisions to make. Okay. I don't think that this is the hardest decision a person has to make. All right. I think there's much harder decisions in life to have to make on whether you want some dick or not. Okay. Whether you're a male or a female. Heck, did you go to school? Did they teach you algebra? They teach you a little trig, little calculus. I think those are harder things to deal with, whether if you want some dick or not. Okay, that's what it seemed like to me. Okay, I don't know you personally, but I remember some math problems that was much harder to think about. Do I want some dick or not? Much harder to think about. Okay. You know, I'm just keeping it real, man. Now, y'all, this is the thing. This is the thing. Are there women that should be embarrassed they have a boyfriend? Absolutely. Absolutely. There are some women out there who should be embarrassed about their boyfriend. And I'm going to say it's most women with a boyfriend. Now, why would I say something like that? Why would I say something like that? Okay, let's keep it real. No matter if you live an alternative lifestyle or you just a heterosexual person, either way, you know, regardless of what you want to take or not, let's be realistic. At a point in time, a woman can have a boyfriend. Okay. You have a relationship. And I've heard women say, yeah, I've been with my man for 5 years, talking about their boyfriend. I've heard women say they've been with a man for 10 years, talking about their boyfriend. I've even met a couple. They was together for 22 years. Okay, 22 years. Now, this was a Latino couple, if my memory is correct. This was a Latino couple. I don't know why they stuck out in my mind. It might have had something to do with 22 years. But they were together for 22 years, okay? He was like, no, that's not my wife. That's just my girlfriend. You know, because when a person say, yeah, we've been together for 22 years, you would think 22 years of marriage. That's a natural assumption that you would make. I said something about wife. That meant no. That ain't my wife. She is just my girlfriend. Okay. That is not my wife. Okay. Okay, cool. Hey, I don't want to fight. Okay. It is what it is. It is what it is. I ain't gonna hold you. Whatever you want to do is all right with me, man. It's all right. So yeah, 22 years, but they were not married. Okay, so I know there's women out here who do stuff like this. Okay, yeah, I've seen some women who've been a girlfriend to a man for a very long time. Okay, now I don't think it has nothing to do with should you think about or rethink if you're heterosexual or what being a heterosexual means. No, I don't think I don't think that's what you should be doing. Now I understand the article may be trying to tell people to think about this, or maybe you should come to the other side, whatever the other side is for you. Okay, cool. The article can push anything it wants. Okay, it is what it is. The article can push anything it wants, but I think people should understand and have some type of recognition of what is being pushed. So based on what it was pushing to me, it was basically telling women you need to be gay. Or I guess for women, they like being called lesbians. Okay, they need to be carpet munchers, or what I'm saying, or whatever these terms are. Whatever these terms are for these LGBT women. Okay, I know two women being together is a lesbian. Okay, well I guess it's two lesbians, so they are lesbians. Now look, if you want to be a lesbian, does a magazine article have to convince you? I'm just gonna say something about that right now. If you're a heterosexual woman and a magazine article pushes you over the edge, I don't think you was the woman any man was looking for. Just keeping it real. If a magazine article can be the straw that broke the camel's back, yeah, I don't know if a man was out there really looking for you. Okay, not for sure for you. He may have looked for a woman, maybe even a woman that looked like you. But if an article, if a simple magazine article in Vogue pushes you to the next level, I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. Now I do got somebody backstage. I can bring you up in a while. I ain't ready to let nobody come up yet. But I got you. If you stick around, I got you. Okay. All right. Now, this is the thing. This is the thing, y'all. Totally different reasons. I do believe it is embarrassing for a woman to have a boyfriend. Why? Because how much of yourself do you let go when you only got a short amount of time to make the right things happen? Now, I done lost some channels, but I done said this time and time again. If you're 22 years old, you're supposed to be married. Okay? You're supposed to be married. You're supposed to be with somebody that you really like dealing with, and you're supposed to be married. Now, maybe this is a high school sweetheart, even though I know it doesn't happen much. But even for a high school sweetheart, if y'all been together since y'all was 14, 15, 16, I mean, at 22, it's time. What you waiting on? I understand, there's a difference between being a child and being an adult. Okay? But if you've been with somebody since high school, like, what are you doing at 22 if you ain't getting married? Y'all ain't doing nothing with nobody else. Why not get married? You ain't doing nothing with nobody else. Go on, get over it. Jump that broom, man. Get over that broom. It's time, man. It's more than time. You've been with somebody since you was 14. It's more than time to jump that broom if you're 22. Okay? It's that simple at the end of the day. Now, if I had a daughter anywhere between 18 and 22, would I advise my daughter that she can give a lot of time to men she's not trying to marry? No. Would I advise my daughter to give up a lot of time to men who aren't trying to marry her? No. I wouldn't do it. Not either way. Within 2 years of a relationship, y'all should get married. That's just what it is. Because anything else, beyond that is usually going to be people playing with each other or people that don't fit together and they're trying to basically force a square into a circle, or force a circle into a square, however you want to see it. If a man don't love you enough to propose, okay, and make you his wife. Now, I'm not saying there's something wrong with the man. Men have their reasons for not proposing. Okay? They got their reasons. And I respect men's reasons for not proposing. But I wouldn't want you to drag my daughter in your whatever your thing is. Okay? It's just that simple. Because what do I know about men? We see a woman and we know if she looked good enough to marry the day we saw her. I know that. Nobody's going to fool me about it. Okay? I understand a lot of people ain't made that connection because a lot of men, if you ask them about their wife, if they've been married for 30 years, ask them about their wife. You know? When did you know she was going to be the one? Usually they say the day I saw her. Now, is it true that they knew she was going to be the one the day they actually saw her? No, it's not actually true. But there is some association in the thoughts. See, he saw her, and the day he saw her, he knew she looked good enough to marry. He did know that. But he had to see what was her character like. Okay, he had to see what type of lifestyle she lived, what she believes in, what she doesn't believe in. He had to check out. So the thing is, when he saw her, he knew she looked good enough to marry. There's nothing wrong with that. So if it's his interpretation is the day I saw her, yeah, he just saying she looked good enough. And guess what? She passed all the qualifications for him to propose. It's just that simple at the end of the day. Now, there are some women out there who have boyfriends and they've been with their man 7, 8, 9 years. I've said a story before about how some woman told me she was with her man for 7 years, and I laughed literally in her face. And I'm like, okay, so you want to have a real relationship with somebody, or you want to keep playing? I mean, I wasn't trying to insult her. I was just keeping it real, okay? And she's like, well, we've been together 7 years. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, so how dumb you gonna be? If he ain't liked you in 7 years, what makes you think he gonna like you the next year? Now, when I say stuff like that, it's not to, embarrass people or anything like that. It's just keeping it real with somebody. If the man ain't liked you like that in 7 years, okay, what you think year number 8 gonna bring? Okay. For 7 years, he kept finding reasons that he don't want to attach himself to you. What you gonna really do about that? Okay. Do you even know what the reasons are he won't marry you? Have you asked? Have you cared enough to ask? Now, I know a lot of women don't ask. Okay. They just be sitting around waiting on some man to do something. Okay. And I know as men, we know this. Okay. When you hear it out loud, you can register this in your brain. Okay. So this ain't a difficult concept. So is it embarrassing for a woman to have a boyfriend? Yeah. Year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. Yeah, it is embarrassing. Not because of no gay agenda. I think people are pretty clear on whether they're heterosexual or not. I think you should stay clear on whether you're heterosexual or not. Okay? But when it comes down to it, if a man is with a woman, because we're going to stick more on the heterosexual side. Okay, if a man wants to be with a woman, but he's not comfortable marrying her, at the end of the day, he is living the life he wants to live. As I've said plenty of times, your subconscious rules you. Just because you love a woman does not mean you want to marry a woman. We know how to love people, but don't want to take it to that level. Because there is a commitment when it comes to marriage that a lot of men don't want to make with some particular woman, which is how a woman can end up being somebody's girlfriend for 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So when you think about it, should a woman be embarrassed about having a boyfriend? Yeah, most of you should. And I'm going to say, as men, we should be telling our daughters this. Why would you want your daughter to be somebody's girlfriend for years and years and years? Does that make any sense? Unless it was a high school sweetheart thing, I would have a problem talking to my daughter and she's been with some guy for 4 years and they not married. Because I love my daughter, I would just let her know, but he just don't mess with you like that. I know you like him, but he don't mess with you like that. And there's no point in you wasting your time on a man who don't mess with you like that. Because at the end of the day, you either want to be good enough for him to marry you or you don't. And see, I wouldn't change up stuff just because it's my daughter. I would keep it real with my daughter. Either you want to be good enough for him to marry you, or you really don't want to be good enough for him to marry you. Make your decision and move on. You see, but I would try to prepare my daughter before she's in a relationship with a man for stuff like this. Okay? I would try to make sure she's prepared. If you're going to be with a man, you got to do certain things. You got to know how to act. And truth be told, I would try to make sure she doesn't lose the best thing she got when it comes to making sure some man going to take us seriously and will want to marry. I would teach my daughter, you hold on to your virginity. That's it. See, you can do a lot more as a virgin than you can do as a woman who's not. And I know that may be upsetting the women, but ain't no going back, man. You either a virgin or you're not. Okay? It's that simple at the end of the day. See, when a woman has had a man and she's been an actual virgin, okay, she's not engaging in sexual activity with the guy. I'm saying an actual virgin. No sexual activity, y'all. I'm not saying she do it from behind and all. No sexual activity. If she's a virgin, she got more leverage in a relationship. She's showing a man she has a value that the average woman around her does not have. Now, my daughter can't waste that with no dude for 5 years. Not my daughter. Maybe your daughter can. My daughter, no, not on daddy's watch. I would do everything I could to make sure she wasn't that silly. All right. Now, I got somebody named Lee backstage, but your camera's on. I don't play with people with their cameras on. You got to turn your camera off, number one. Plus, I'm not sure what Lee you are. So if you're not a Lee, I know the screen going to be covered anyway. So it don't make no difference whether you actually turn your camera on or not. But you're definitely going to be telling me something if your camera's on when I look again. Okay. So I'm going to let you hit the floor, let you grab the mic, see what you do with it. But that camera needs to be off, brother. Just is what it is. Okay. All right, y'all. We got somebody named Lee who I was going to bring him on stage, but their camera's still on, looks like. So I guess Lee don't want to come to the stage. Lee playing. Okay. Lee's playing. Lee don't want to come up. Lee thought they did, but Lee obviously don't want to. Okay. Which is cool. I ain't never trying to force nobody up here. So let me keep on cooking. Okay. Let me keep on cooking. Now, as men, you got to make a decision. Is it good enough for your daughter? Okay. Is that good enough for your daughter? Okay. My daughter, no. No, you're not supposed to be with no man for 5 years and he's not your husband. Should you be embarrassed about this? Absolutely, you should be embarrassed. How dumb can you just be deliberately? Okay? Because being a girlfriend for 7 years is a very deliberate act. It's a very deliberate act. And I know people say, well, some man should make her be no girlfriend for 7 years. He can't make her do squat unless he gonna physically, you know what I'm saying, and have a physical issue with her. He ain't making her do nothing. She's doing exactly what she wants to do. A woman who stays with a man for 7 years without being married is a woman who don't want to be married at the end of the day. It's that simple to me. Because if she wanted to be married, she'd be with a man who would marry her. You can't be with a man for 7 years, not married, and then talk to me like you want to be married. According to your subconscious, you don't want to be married. I see you speaking loud and clear. But now Lee is here, y'all. He did turn his camera off. So let's see what Lee got to say. Lee, start where you like. You got the mic, my brother.
Oh, I'm just listening, brother. Yeah, that my camera's on, but the lens is covered. You know, just listening to the dialogue. You know, you got a lot of different issues that you're kind of covering. And it's just interesting to just hear different sides of it. I love my beautiful black women, but we know they've been led astray. Even now, people are finally catching up to how Oprah has misled a couple of generations of women. I'm 50, and I've known, and I was done dealing with Oprah in the early '90s. So, I guess for me, man, I do try to have that understanding in terms of what women have actually been hoodwinked with. Now, I'm not saying that causes me to bow down or be a simp. I'm not saying that by any means, but I'm just saying that, what the most critical thing that most women don't understand is that they really need a guy to help protect them from themselves. Now, I got to temper that with the reality is most guys haven't been raised to be men. They just haven't. So, like I said, just listening, brother. This is it's a simple problem, challenge, but it's complex, and most of it just comes from a lack of us not being raised. It even comes through what we deem as, in quotes, black culture or even American culture. I had to sit down this weekend and think about that and culture, even before I looked it up to define it. My own definition is culture is it is a structure with mechanisms in it that allows the people that practice that culture to thrive and excel. So my point is, yeah, bro, just enjoying listening to your side of it, and and then we know the church was a big part of this. This is why a lot of our women have been misled. You got gays and pedophiles all in the pulpit. They want to dress up and hop around like women, and we allow it. Part of black culture is we kind of accept anything in, and we want to be everybody's friend, and everybody hates us. They show us how much they hate us, especially black men. They emasculate us daily, and we just smile and we go along with it. But just enjoying the dialogue, brother. Please continue. But thank you for allowing me to just share that, but just listening. Thank you, brother.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to say I definitely don't agree with everything you said. And I don't blame any man because some woman don't want to be married. I mean, that's a conscious decision to be with a man day in, day out when nobody's forcing her to be that. And no, I'm not going to say it's because men don't know how to be men, because women deal with the type of men they like dealing with. So if there was a real issue with the man, a lot of them would never be with somebody. So I can't agree with you there because I don't see the evidence of that. I'm going to say that. I don't see the evidence of that. Now, I am going to say, look, she want to be somebody's girlfriend, more power to her. Some guy agreed to let her be that, more power to him. But when it's 3 years in, it's 3 years, man. She done met the guy. Okay, we in November in 2025. She done met the guy in November of 2022, and she's still a girlfriend. Why is she doing that? Why do you think she's doing that at this point? Yo, it's 3 years. She met him in 2022. They hooked up, got together, started this relationship. It's 3 years down the road. Would you want this for your daughter?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, no. So yeah, I don't have an issue with your angle in terms of a woman, dealing with what they want to deal with. I'm just saying that for me, the crux of that is so many of us have not been educated in terms of how and what we should look for. For example, we have the old phrase, make sure that you're equally yoked, that most people just in general understand, but they, in a very surface sense, but they don't really understand what that fully means. So my point is, we can look at different cultures, man, and I mean, your typical American culture, especially black culture, from what I've seen, especially now, it isn't geared towards acclimating a person towards towards the path that would allow them to make decent decision making. For example, so
I can agree with that because I believe you do like most people do. You focus on dysfunctional single mother, anti-family culture. That's what you focused on, and you're presenting that like that's the majority of people. which is, and
No,
that's just not the majority of people.
no, I'm not focusing on that. To be honest with you, I'm actually coming from the whole angle of an economic aspect, meaning that just people in general, in specific Black America, we don't manage money. So if you manage your money decently, it can put you in a better situation such that you can be able to make better decisions for yourself and whomever. So that's the angle that I'm always coming from with it. What am I doing today that's going to allow me to elevate my quality of life tomorrow?
Oh, okay, I hear you, but now I'm gonna say again though, she's been in a relationship since 22. She's 3 years in. Why does she want this at this point? I mean, regardless of the financial situation, regardless of what you say, culture, she's in it herself. Why she want to be with somebody for 3 years who don't like her enough to make her a wife?
Once again, she has not been taught correctly.
No. I'm not gonna argue the talk what she been taught at this point because I don't. It doesn't make a difference to me in a way. I'm saying she's in it. She has her own personal feelings. She knows she's not somebody's wife, but she with this dude for 3 years. Regardless of a cultural background, regardless of what she was taught, why do you think she's comfortable being in it in year 3?
I don't believe she's comfortable most times. I believe what happens with most people is just inertia. You know, we start things and things just continue to flow. I think I listened to you one other time and you mentioned how most Black guys don't leave relationships, which I'm completely different. I'll have to say that. And most of it is just inertia. You know, most of it is, hey, I don't want to be alone. Most of it is, hey, you know, my parents are looking at me to see what I'm doing. I'll give you a personal example. When I was in junior high school, I kind of shot up. So picture a dude that's like 6'5" and decently athletic and attractive. So now all of a sudden I got people coming to me who I don't know, don't even communicate, asking me, hey, where's your girlfriend? Now I'm gonna be real with you. At that time, I didn't give a damn about having a girlfriend because my focus was on, hey, not trying to get anybody pregnant and just trying to get the hell out of school. So my point is, what you're talking about may be only the cultural obsession with what should be going on at that particular time. So once again, it may be just inertia. It may be just the cultural pressures that's like, hey, I'm 22, 23. Hey, I'm supposed to be in a relationship. And like I said, I'm giving you a personal experience of someone who was 13, 14 years old, who really did want to be in a relationship. But my own peers kept asking me this stupid question. So
No. I do get you, but you are a male, and men are very different than women. That's why, and the focus today is, what I'm saying, because of this particular article, it was telling women about not having boyfriends. So you're a guy, you've never been a boyfriend. I'm assuming you're a heterosexual guy. So, what happened with you is not going to be what happens with women. And women do, they involve themselves in things that they believe they're getting something out of. So at the end of the day, if she's in year 3, 4, 5, she thinks she's getting something out of it. You know what I'm saying? And whatever it is, whether we agree with it or not, she down for it at the end of the day. So I'm gonna say, why don't you take just a moment, just consider, why would a woman be down to be in year 5 with this guy who don't want to make her his wife? Why is she so down? Just think about it for a second, because I'm gonna let this other brother get in to make his opening statement. Okay, but just think about that for a second. Why would the woman be down? It's year 5. He ain't proposed to nothing. He ain't even, sometimes they ain't even talked about with a woman. Why is she down? Okay. But snap your fingers. You got the floor. Go ahead for your opening statement, brother.
Good morning, Roger. It's a happy Monday for everybody.
Good morning, brother.
And I'm not embarrassed, I'm snapping my fingers. The weekend was great. And the week is going to be even better. Okay? And you got to say the word properly, Roger. Snap your fingers.
My bad. Snap your fingers. What's going on, my brother?
All right, man. Just listening to these women making it of themselves all the time. Well, every other week they come up with some new ish. Now it's or they are embarrassed with having a boyfriend. Well, that's cute on the same logic. Or they embarrassed being single mothers, baby mamas, baby mamas number 8, baby mamas number 6. Now that you know the great Joker in the White House ripping things apart, taking away their snap, snatching away their snap. Are they not embarrassed? Are not embarrassed being out here uncovered? They don't have a husband. They don't have a wife. They don't have even a boyfriend or girlfriend to check up on them, maybe dropping a couple hundred on them for grocery money. Are they not embarrassed about that? Also, now the embarrassment is not having a boyfriend at all. Well, that's cute. Should have thought about it before you became baby mama number 6. You should.
Now you know what? When you throw the kids in, that's some other things to think about. But all of them ain't baby mamas. There are women who are single who don't have kids, and they be with a guy for these long periods of time. And y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all have seen women say, at least you've seen them online. If y'all don't know any in person, that say, he stole my youth. This is an excuse that I've heard brought up many a time. He stole my youth, meaning that somehow this guy that was her quote unquote boyfriend was with her as if she didn't want to be with him. And now they separate for whatever reason, and she don't have a husband to show for it. Now my thing is, how could he steal your youth? You gave him what you wanted him to have.
Okay, Roger, let me think back a little bit. Maybe the reason that she doesn't have a husband is because she's not a wife. She's a hoe. She's a jump off.
I mean, there's always those two. I'm not gonna act like those aren't those two. But I am saying somebody who is someone who has a boyfriend. I'm going to assume she's not displaying a bunch of whole characteristics in front of him, because he's claiming her.
Roger,
It's one thing. Hold on. My thing is, there's one thing to be an unclaimed hoe, and then there's another one where a man would actually say in public that she with me. So she's obviously not doing enough to make him feel ashamed of claiming her. Now, I'm not gonna say the whole thing ain't out there. That is out there, but when you start talking boyfriend when somebody's claiming you, usually you don't have a woman that's out there like that. That's not normal. I'll say that. Usually, if a man find out you out there, wow, he gonna drop you at that point. So we're talking about people that have not been dropped.
Yeah, but most of the time, these girlfriends and boyfriend relationships is nothing more than her giving him some money, and he just giving her some money. So it ain't all that. I don't put too much stock in boyfriends and girlfriend, whether claim or not. It's basically just taking the money and giving some bedroom relief, and that's about it. So it ain't that much, and every once in a while, and oops, baby happened.
Well, what I am going to say is the fact that you have the status of being a girlfriend and you're not a wife, that's saying something. I mean, to me, there's no getting around that. If the guy is with you, but he don't like you enough to marry you, you having this boyfriend for, to me, anything beyond 2 years is crazy. Because what else do he need to know about you in order to make you his wife? He don't like you. Now, are there men who keep women around that they don't like? Yeah, absolutely. I've said plenty of times, just like you said. Well, Lee said it earlier about how black men won't break up with women, so they will keep women around, but he won't marry them. So he's clearly making a statement about what he sees about her. Okay, you're good enough to have sex with, but you're not good enough for me to claim from a legal standpoint. You're not good enough to represent me in a real way. I'm not saying a girlfriend doesn't represent a man, at least some. But how do you represent a man for a long period of time and he won't put no ring on it, as they say? Now, I see something in this. I've always seen that okay, the man think you ain't good enough. It's clear to me that he don't think you good enough because he won't actually take that step. And it's hard to push a man down the aisle. Let's just keep let's keep that real. He'll do certain stuff for a relationship, but it's hard to push a man down the aisle. When he don't want to marry a woman, he pretty much won't marry a woman. It's hard to convince a guy to marry a chick that he just ain't feeling like that. So at the end of the day, I'm saying the only reason it's embarrassing to have a boyfriend because you are admitting as a woman that the man you claiming think you ain't good enough. And why would you want to be with a guy like? See, I'm saying if this is my daughter, there is nowhere in the world I'm gonna be happy about some dude claiming my woman for years while also saying he ain't good enough. I mean, she's not good enough for him. I don't want my daughter dealing with something like that. You know, so to me, it's crazy in itself that I'm not saying women can't have a boyfriend, but everything's supposed to be headed toward marriage. And if it's not headed toward marriage, why put a claim on a person?
Yeah,
I don't see no point claiming somebody you're not gonna marry or have no intentions of marriage at all.
Most of the time, you just because the punani is good. All right, you got the box. You know, you got to keep them around because there's a shortage of good punani in the streets, man. When the guy gets a hold of a good box, he ain't gonna let that go.
It's a shortage of punani in the streets.
A shortage of good punani. Not a shortage
of
punani.
I was gonna say that a joke.
Good punani.
Maybe on to something.
Okay, well, Afro Never Radio has come up, so let me let him get the mic for an opening statement. Go ahead, my brother. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
Doing fantastic.
So I had to come in on this. I'm coming in a little late, so I'm gathering what you're talking about. Look, I'm a single cat, and I will tell you that I've seen so many explosions with people who have gotten married where what you could lose is so wild. When you see grown men coming to me crying because their families exploded, and they have the house for about a month or two, and then they're out of the house. Then some dude is in the house paying all the bills. I mean, I've seen a lot of ways where this thing can go left, right? And I tell you what really needs to be discussed is I think we don't have respectability politics anymore. We don't have it. There's a set of people who in our community that have been campaigning against respectability politics, and now this is the fruit of their labors that we see. The kind of quality that you would see or you should be seeing in men and women in our community is it's kind of bereft. We're not seeing enough of it.
Amen.
I mean, we have to be clear. Like I've seen growing up, and I regret some of this. I dated many good girls, but I was young, and you think you have time, and to a certain degree, men do have a little bit of time. But now in this game where you're seeing Instagram models, all these Instagram models, they're showing their behinds. All of them got a side OF thing going on. The tattoos, the purple hair, the septum rings. They don't even have the appearance of a wife. And I'm saying that just on the hetero male, looking at it from a certain direction. Now, I would assume from the female to male direction, some of these guys aren't looking too tough, right? But we've allowed. I mean, look, I got to mention one thing. One of my friends told me something that was so crazy. He said there's something now going around because every time you turn around, some of these sisters are coming up with these. Anything is sassy. The term sassy. Anything. If you disagree, legitimately, you're sassy. Now I'm hearing that they're saying that if you're a man and you have a close relationship with an older parent, like if you're an adult male, and I lost my mom a few years ago, but I'm still close with my father, and I hang out with my father quite a bit. I'm comfortable with my father, black male, and now I'm hearing that if you have your dad with you, or if you're close with your mother and as an adult male, some women are qualifying that as sassy. So I don't even know how to respond to that. When many of us don't even have, our family structures are so screwed up, because I come from a functional family that makes me sassy all of a sudden. Not the real sassy, not the RuPauls and all these other twisted guys that are out there. No disrespect. The real sassy people, they have no words for. A difference of an opinion, and if you have a good relationship with your mother or your father as an adult, that's sassy too. So all that's in the mix, and I'll land the plane. But I'm just telling you, a lot of this, what you're really gonna have to angle in on, is what and where is the quality of the family structure that would underwrite what you're asking for marriage, because you're not going to want to get married to some woman that doesn't even have the concept of what it means to be a wife.
Can I piggyback on something you said real quickly, brother? Because you're hitting the nail on the head.
Well, no. Hold fast. Y'all do know this article is about women being embarrassed
and I'm sorry
to have a boyfriend.
And I'm sorry, brother. When I say,
it's not about the man's perspective. This is about the woman's perspective.
And I got to apologize to you because I joined a little late and I didn't know you were discussing an article. And I don't know if the other gentleman may have the same challenge, because I did.
Yeah,
I didn't know what the angle of this discussion was about.
Well, I would say to y'all,
connection though. There's still a connection. But go ahead.
I would say that there is an article. It doesn't take that long to look at it. If y'all look at the link in the description, there's a link to the article. It won't take you that long to even check it out if you want to take a look at it. You know. So, and this article is about a woman being embarrassed to have a boyfriend. But like I say, my perspective is it seems like they're trying to push a gay agenda. But you know, you won't necessarily pick up on that for sure. But I'm looking at certain words and phrases that they use. It seems like they're trying to push a gay agenda.
You don't agree? You're sassy, Roger. You don't agree? It's kind of convenient.
I mean, to acknowledge women setting the tone is ridiculous and even the concept.
They've been setting a gay agenda our entire life. If you're over.
Well, I mean, you may not see that. I don't know if everyone's going to necessarily even see that in an article. That's what I saw. Okay, I'm saying that.
Roger.
But other people may not read it and see gay agenda. But there was a couple of phrases in there to me where it kind of just stood out. But I don't know if everybody would catch that, per se.
Respectfully, I have to ask this. So what do they want if they're embarrassed to be adult women and having boyfriends? And I kind of get that actually. What do they prefer? They want to be a wife. Is that what I'm inferring? What's the alternative to being a girlfriend?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm saying that they should be embarrassed, because if you've been with a man longer than 2 years, you're still claiming a man who don't like you enough to take you to the next level. To me, that sounds stupid, because that's why I wouldn't want my daughter to do. Wow, I'm thinking about it from a realistic perspective. I got a daughter growing up. She becomes a woman. She takes interest in guys. She's with a guy for 4 years, and the dude won't marry her. To me, you should be embarrassed. Why wouldn't you be embarrassed? You are clearly failing. It is your job as a woman to get this man to make a commitment to you on a higher level. You can't get the job done. So something needs to change. Either you need to change who you with or change who you are. But something needs to change, because I think you should be embarrassed to say, this has been my boyfriend in the last 4 years. You should be embarrassed.
That's the woman. Isn't it on the woman to be a wife in training? Like you're not going to be a Megan Thee Stallion type. I'm just throwing a name out there, or a Glorilla type, because you see that archetype among a lot, not all, but a lot of women. That's kind of the cultural image to some, not all. You have Condoleezza Rice and you have Glorilla, right? So we got to be honest about that. But I've heard even on Black YouTube, you have alleged Black female PhDs that will ride for Glorilla and for great Megan Thee Stallion. When I've been on these panels, when you talk about these women and Cardi B and say, look, they represent a certain style that you go into what these women, who they really are. They were former strippers, factual stuff about these women. And you got PhDs arguing with me, don't talk about black women. So there, you can't critique. I can talk about Lil Wayne. I could talk about all these. I could talk about Little Dirk and what they represent. But when you give the female version of that, you can't talk cross about them. So what that means is you're gonna be a forever girlfriend because those women don't represent wives. That's not Michelle Obama. We could be, politics aside, we can see her being someone's wife, right? But I don't know about these other women. Are you gonna take the chance to marry a woman like that?
Well, again, I'm not talking about from the angle of the men. I understand the man not marrying her. But my thing is, there should be some talk about why it's embarrassing to be a girlfriend. Because if the dude didn't had you beyond 2 years, he's clearly making a statement. I don't want to do that much with you. Being a wife is a whole different level. It's going to take whole different responsibilities. And I don't want to attach myself to you. He's clearly saying that by not marrying you. So what I'm saying is the article is presenting some nonsense about why women should be embarrassed about having boyfriends. But I'm saying we're going to have an actual conversation about why they should be embarrassed. Because if you've been with somebody more than 2 years and you don't even have wedding plans, I think that's a very good time to allow embarrassment to really take to take hold of you, because you ain't good enough. And he's clearly making it known to everybody you ain't good enough. And every time you claim this man, you're telling me that the man that is attached to you don't like you enough to do it. That's a very clear statement to me. But we got Kevin 3905 who done came up, so let me go ahead and let him get the mic. Kevin, you got it, my brother. Kevin, I don't hear you, brother. Is that me?
I hear you.
Okay, you hear me. So, Kevin, that must be you, brother. We don't hear you at all, brother. We don't hear you at all. So I guess we're going to keep the conversation flowing, and you can adjust whatever's going on with you, Kevin. But we don't hear you at all, brother. I don't see your mute on. We don't hear you at all, brother. So
let me say this quickly, because I'm going to have to step for a moment. But my thought is, I hear what you're saying about this is a woman's perspective and her POV. But look, all through the manosphere, how positively or negatively people see.
No. You got to say black manosphere over here, because if you just say manosphere, that's attaching to a bunch of white folks. So unless you mean that, don't say that.
I got it. Although I think they got their complaints too. But no, I understand about the black manosphere. And that's really what I meant. I just said manosphere. But let's say the black manosphere, whatever the good and bad in between that's in it. I think there's some good stuff in it, but I think there's some bad stuff in it, obviously. But I think much of what they are doing is talking about women taking responsibility for their misgivings, and there's never been that kind of discussion. It's always about male dysfunctionalism and the men having these issues, but we never think that these women have issues that make them really a non-starter. Having multiple children, look, we see clearly some of these women. I'm not saying all, but many of these women how they present themselves on social media, they want the creme de la creme, the top of the top, 5 kids in tow, 40 years old plus, like all these issues, and they still want the top guy. They still want marriage after you've already kind of given your best away. Like, there's got to be a discussion as to how they need to present themselves. Right now, you could be as obese as you want to be. You could be as out of control.
Hold on. Well, brother, you could take advantage of this conversation right now. It's literally about women being embarrassed to have boyfriends. You could actually give something toward that and put a little accountability out there, or at least some concepts for people to think about. You got to take advantage of it, bro. You got to take advantage. I'm saying why they should be embarrassed. I don't agree with the article, But I do agree with the fact that they should be embarrassed. It's just a whole bunch of different reasons why they should be embarrassed. But let me let these other guys get in again.
Sure.
Let me try you real quick. Kevin 3905, you came back. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Somebody called me as soon as you started to bring me up. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, sir. Hear you fine.
Hey, man. Good Monday morning to you, brothers. I did go to the grocery store, did a little research for the Roger Report. It was nice and quiet in there. People were behaving themselves properly. There was not an EBT card in sight. So I just want to give that report first.
You know what? Let me just throw it out there real quick, and I appreciate you saying that. I didn't go to all the grocery stores I wanted to go to, y'all. My father ended up calling me, and my time got a little limited. But it was the first time I had been to the grocery store now I actually made it on the 2nd. I didn't get there on the 1st. I went there yesterday on the 2nd. Man, it was quiet as a church mouse. It was like the regular days. It was nothing that I always try to avoid from the 1st to the 3rd. It was none of that. None of that. But my bad. Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead. My
No,
apologies.
you good. Hey, listen. I freely yield those 30 seconds to you, brother. No problem. I think they should be embarrassed, but I don't think they have enough femininity left in the well in which they're learning from to be embarrassed. And I think some accountability lies on both sides. I think part of the issue with us brothers is we won't break up with hoes. We just won't, bro. We will try and try over and over again to make a hoe into a housewife. We just will. She got some good coochie, or she halfway treat me decent or whatever. Bro, we will not break up with them. We just won't, bro. We give them all our time and attention. We're giving them wife privileges. Dudes is taking these women under their roof, paying bills and making sure they're okay. They're taking care of these kids. Well, they ain't doing that as much anymore, but they're giving them wifely privileges and knowing that they don't slept with Tom, Dick, and Harry. Knowing some dude got a video of her on the phone somewhere where he don't did any and everything with her. Knowing 2, 3 dudes down the road don't ran a train on this chick, and he's still trying to make this chick into a housewife. He sees something in her that don't nobody else see it. Dudes is doing that for real. They are really doing that. And these women, they're being rewarded for poor behavior, so they don't see the need to change, bro. They ain't listening. Their ears are not open to it. The men done been exited from the relationship with the mothers, so the men don't get a chance to instill in them the value of chastity and withholding themselves for their husbands. Most women have had so many sexual partners, bro. Pair bonding is a fairy tale to them, bro. They just don't even have the ability to be good wives anymore. And that's my thought process on that. What say you?
I'm just say interesting points for now, because truth teller is here. So I'm gonna let him get the mic. Truth teller, you got it, brother.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. First off, I want to point out, sorry, Mama Roger, but y'all ain't shit for going to the supermarkets this week. And they seeing a card inside. That was messed up. That was messed up. I was laughing hard on that one.
I swear I needed stuff. I swear I just wasn't going for the sake of going. I swear I bought something.
Niggas was like, yo, it was clear, it was nice, there was no problem. I'm scared of yelling shit. All right. I'm gonna get to the point, because I don't think.
I just want to say real quick, because you are a truth teller. I was not being petty, y'all. I actually bought groceries, okay? I was not being petty. I just so happened to need some groceries, and the weekend had happened to be. I really wanted to go on the first, but like I said, my dad called me. Things changed up. It is what it is. But
He
I
was
did go on Sunday.
multitasking. Yeah, he was multitasking. That's not pettiness. That's compartmentalizing and being efficient. I get you. I hear you. I hear you. So
I hadn't been on the grocery store. I hadn't been to the grocery store in a second in decades.
ain't no reason for you to go.
Bro, I didn't even have to wait in line, bro. I didn't even have to wait in
You
line.
just walk through.
Bro,
He's like, is it this nice all the
I
time?
came up there with my cart. I was the first person in line, and all the lines was open. I was like, I like this.
Yeah,
God damn, y'all.
everything I was
Everything was Roger, you wrong. You are so wrong. I said everything was in stock. God. Oh my God. You know I be going in hard on them, but Raja, I don't think people peeped how hard you just went in on them and talking about the stock quantity on the shelves.
grocery shop. I wasn't going in. I went into the grocery store. That's what I was going in at the grocery store. And I just stopped. And it was like a regular day. I know. It was like a regular day.
Bro,
What you said, all the Lucky Charms is on the shelf. You didn't see that going at all?
Yeah.
You badass kids ain't eat no Lucky Charms.
No matter how popular the item was, it was right there.
Don't tell her, all the Kool-Aid packs was perfectly
God damn. God,
bro.
Damn. Y'all ain't gonna stop. Okay. All right.
It's not your 2 minutes. It's not your 2 minutes. We're going to start the 2 minutes now. We're going to start the 2 minutes.
My bad.
All right. A couple things I want to point out, right? Because I hear what y'all are saying, right? What everybody has said about the women and them, them doing what they want to do. Y'all know me, right? I am not going to shoot a woman down because she want to be a hoe. I love hoes. They're important to our ecosystem. They're vital. It is not the man's job or a description of his leadership to prevent hoes from being hoes. That's our first problem. That is you wanting to save a hoe. You cannot blame these chicks wanting to be hoes on men. That's ridiculous. And some of us, actually almost all of us did it. Literally. Out loud on recording, saying, well, it's the men too. Listen, I don't control whether or not this chick want to be a hoe. If she likes being a hoe, hey, good luck to you. You're going to have to live the life of a hoe. And I do want to point out that they are ashamed of having boyfriends. You know how you know? Because when you ask them, hey, are you single? They'll never say, no, I'm not married, I'm single. They'll say, I have a man. They don't say I have a boyfriend. They don't say I have a strategic partner like some of the white folk do. They don't say any of that. They say I have a man. And they didn't brainwash most men to accept that as them having a partner because niggas like hoes, but they not going to marry no hoe. So if she's willing to accept me as a partner and not a wife, and she don't have to be my wife, I'm good to go. And y'all niggas is not peeping game. They are ashamed of having boyfriends, which is why they don't use the word boyfriend. Ever. If you ask a chick if she's single right now, if she's not married, her answer is supposed to be yes. There's no other answer for that. And we don't want to, if she got a man, oh, you have a man. What the hell is you having a man mean? Either she's married or she's single. There's no having a man meaning you in a relationship. If you ain't got state documents saying you attached to this man, your ass is single. And we need to stop playing games with it. Now, if she wants to be some dude's attachment, kind of, sort of, for the next 15 years, I mean, we already know what that means. She's basically a side chick in waiting if he don't already got a primary. She ain't never going to be his wife. And she don't qualify to be his wife, and he know it. That's why he said, yo, this is my girl, not my wife. So let's not hate the game, man. Let's just play it the way it's supposed to be played, man. If they're not wives, they're not wives. It is what it is. We're not responsible for them being hoes, man. They are. Good luck to them, man. I wish them the best. It's a hard life.
All right, Sean. All right. Now, Afro Nerd Radio is coming back up. Uh, now I'm about to. Excuse me, folks. Now,
Bless you, Roger.
I'm gonna say there is something to look at because again, for me, if I'm a woman, I've been with this dude for 10 years. This nigga will not marry me. This nigga would do all kinds of stuff, but he just won't marry me. And I'm gonna even say for the guys who let the woman come live with them, even have kids with her. It don't sound right. It wouldn't sound right to me as a woman that I can do all these different things, but this nigga will not marry me. Why? What is so bad about me that he want to do everything but marry? That sounds crazy to me from a woman's perspective. Why he want to do everything but marry me? Because I know I wouldn't hold on to a woman who want to be everything but mine. That don't sound right to me. I wouldn't want to hold on to that. So why would she want to hold on to this guy who just won't fully claim her? Because to me, I think you should be embarrassed because if you give 4 years of your life to a man and this man decides the 4 years you gave ain't enough for him to just go ahead and do it, he ain't messing with you like that. That's my honest opinion of it. And I've talked to many men as well. He don't dig you like that. So why should a woman stay in that position? To me, it sounds insane. But hey, it is what it is. Afro, I'm gonna go ahead and give you Mike, even though you coming back up, because usually I don't do that for people coming back up.
Thank you,
but
man.
I know you said you had something with time, so go ahead.
Yeah, so just real quick, the other brother was talking about something, and it reminded me something that irritates me with the kind of language that we're hearing from. I don't hear men speaking this way, but I do hear many women speaking this way when they use the term, "I'm looking for my person." That grates me. I'm not. Listen, brothers, I'm not built for that. I'm not some person. I'm looking for my person. Like all these words, this new language style that is also a problem. Like there's no straight talk. It's a lot of circuitous kind of talk going around the corner instead of angling in on what you really want. That's also a problem. It's something the brother said. He didn't say my person, but he was leaning in on that kind of mentality. Why are you looking for? Because when you say your person, it implies your sexuality is kind of in question. And as men, that may be cute for a minute, but you don't want a wife that gets down that way either, right? So it's all these things that are problems. I mean, we gotta talk about this. There's a whole new cultural component. When I mention respectability politics, I want maybe the other brothers to discuss this. That if you come from a solid black middle class background, even as a man, you don't necessarily want to have. You don't really want to have a girlfriend around for too long either. As like a terminology, like you don't really want to say that's my girlfriend and you're an adult. You don't really want to do that. But I think it's worse on women, right? But the key thing I'm wrangling in on that we're not really discussing is there's a culture that's being promoted that puts black folks in a certain position where there are other ethnicities that I work around where people are getting married, emails are coming out, you see in the firstborn, there's elaborate weddings, like there's a whole cultural normal thing that's going on. And when you look at the black folks, many black folks, even black folks that have some positions and some degrees, they still in the boyfriend-girlfriend stage where other people, other ethnic groups aren't getting down that way. We're becoming like a unique cultural side show. That really we should all be embarrassed by it. That's what I want to get to.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Now, looking for your person, to my understanding, does come from alternative lifestyle people.
Oh, see, there you go.
Because at the end of the day, if you're heterosexual, you're looking for a wife or you're looking for a husband. If you're looking to get married, but when you go into alternative lifestyles, too many variations on what somebody could or couldn't be looking for. So at the end of the day, I mean, if you're not straight, you're not straight. I don't fault nobody for talking like they're not straight if they're not straight. It's cool. Let me know you're not straight. Because if I was interested in you and I know you're not straight, then okay, now I can, okay, I just do something different, whatever. It's cool.
It's not just that though, Roger. It's they're using that term because they know they won't qualify to be married. The likelihood that they'll get married is slim. This is why they use these different words to associate having to a long-term relationship. Because when we were coming up, a long-term relationship meant that you was married. Why would you spend multiple decades with somebody who wouldn't want to marry you? But now they realize that niggas ain't marrying them. So they've changed the wording. I have a man, right? To get away from the shame. I'm looking for my person. What that means is not only that person could be any creature, what it also means is our relationship, when I find my person, doesn't necessarily have to include marriage, right? Because I don't qualify for it, nor am I trying to qualify for it because I think I can't do it. So guess what? My person is what it is.
No, I'm rocking with that because women do try to use wording to hide themselves and to hide embarrassment and to not admit that something's wrong at the end of the day. I mean, but come on, man. If you're 30 years old, ain't nobody married. It's clear something wrong. The only question is, are you gonna do something? Are you gonna do something about it? That's the only question. Clearly something wrong.
Can I also kind of compliment what Truth was talking about? That, not to be grotesque, and I'm going to be careful because I know you can be canceled at any time you say something, but it's also with the current black culture, a portion of it, not everybody, a segment of it on YouTube. We have Optimus Primes, we have bumblebees on panels where it's a straight discussion, and I'm like, okay, it's cool for you to do what you want to do. I'm not gonna dig in, pause on your lifestyle. But why all of a sudden? See, that's what I'm saying is there's a lot of stuff happening with black folks. Like we're like in a petri dish where everything is.
I get what you're saying.
Hold on,
I get what you're saying. But why would you drag Optimus into this? Why couldn't you use Megatron or something? Why are you dragging Optimus into this?
You're right.
Decepticons.
I feel you, brother. But y'all be kidding. Why Optimus, man? Why Optimus? Go ahead, though. We understand your point, though.
My issue is that's also at play. If it's not my person, then all of a sudden, you also have people that are mixed in with the traditional. It's a traditional discussion. As brothers on this panel right now, we're having a traditional discussion. But on much of black YouTube, you will see all kinds of twists and turns mixed in, or a gumbo mixed into what's really qualified as a traditional conversation about men and women. And then that's also muddying the water. And it's like we're just treating it. No one's sitting on a panel and says, wait a minute, bro, or whatever. Why are you here? Why are you here when this is really not, like, I'm not going to be on your panel discussing your issues. I don't know anything about it. Why are they comfortable? Everybody's comfortable in getting in on this black experiment that is failing. And I'm sick of it.
I got an answer for you. It's because your so-called women wants to gather them to jump you. They're increasing their numbers to jump heterosexual black men. That's why they are allowed to be in this discussion.
You're probably on it, so I think you got it.
Now, I'm pretty sure that they gonna get help from wherever they can get help from. So I'm pretty sure that has a lot to do with it. But Black Uru has come up, so let me go ahead and give him the mic. Black Uru, you got it, my brother.
Yeah, if I may, I like to maybe absorb a little more of the discussion. I did read the article, but I'm a little bit distracted with something at this very moment. I definitely want to comment about it. I'm just not prepared to do so right now. So if you
not a problem. We're gonna keep it flowing. You can just jump in when you're ready. We're gonna keep it flowing. All right. Now I think Truth Teller is on to a really good point though. Because you don't want to say, I'm not good enough to be somebody's wife. I totally get why women would use different language because they just don't want to admit to it. And I do think there are guys who have an issue because they keep trying to equal themselves to a female. They keep, anything you're talking about from a female perspective, they'll try to say, well, what about the guy? That's you trying to reduce yourself to a woman. Now people would say, well, what do you mean reduce? Well, if you made a man and you want to be something other than the man, don't you have to reduce yourself to be the other thing? Think about it. Okay, just think about it. Little, ain't nothing wrong with putting your thinking cap on, y'all. It's nothing wrong with that. If I want to be a monkey, wouldn't I reduce myself from being a man to a monkey? If I want to be a girl, don't I have to reduce myself from being a man to being a girl? Because I wasn't made a girl. Just saying, it's automatic reduction in it. So I do think that's part of the problem. But I am gonna say, I mean, if you think about it, y'all, 40-year-old women with boyfriends. Now, I told y'all before, the first time I heard the concept of 40-year-old women, it was some I saw on 40-year-old women having dating issues. I laughed because it was the thought of 40-year-old women dating. That was funny to me. Because I'm sitting there, why would a 40-year-old woman be dating? You're supposed to be married and probably got 2-3 kids by now. If you're 40 years old, you're supposed to be getting out the game of having kids. Like, you really shouldn't have had your kids already. I mean, realistically speaking, what are you doing if you ain't married with children already? So I laughed at the thought of a 40-year-old woman needing to date. Now, I understand exception to the rule. Exception to the rule would be a widow. Okay? I get that. I would even say possibly somebody who's divorced. If they got a legitimate divorce for some real reason. But I told y'all before, I don't believe in divorce without adultery. So now, did he do it, or did you? What's going on as far as that's concerned? But the thought process of a 40-year-old woman needing date, because I'm thinking, like, you 40, haven't you mastered this already? Why don't you have a husband if you dating? It don't make sense to me. How can you be that bad of a person where nobody wants to marry you? You should be able to recognize a problem going on at some particular point in time. So the first time I heard about a 40-year-old having dating issues, I just thought it was hilarious. And y'all, I recently saw something on 50-year-old women dating. I'm not gonna say I thought it was as hilarious because I heard about the 40-year-old thing years ago. But 50-year-old women dating should just be something you just not do. Okay, you don't make an issue about 50-year-old women dating who ain't never been married. That don't even make sense at the end of the day. And then if you 50, and let's say you've been married, but your marriage didn't even last 10 years, you don't need to be dating anybody. You good where you at. Just why don't you just stay out the way? Because what man, maybe his wife did die. Maybe he wants to remarry. Why would you want to marry a woman who couldn't stay married for 10 years? What good that gonna do him? Probably none. So, I'm saying a woman should be embarrassed about having a boyfriend because she's supposed to have a husband. That makes sense to me. If have y'all ever met a 16-year-old in 8th grade? Should he be embarrassed?
God
It
dang,
ain't
Bob.
registering to everybody. Y'all just
Damn,
don't
Bob.
understand.
Damn, Bob.
I think I knew a couple of those guys when I was coming up in Chicago.
I knew some 16-year-olds in 8th grade.
Yeah, I knew a couple. I definitely knew a couple.
They ain't supposed to be
I
proud of
think I knew a 17. I think I knew a 17-year-old. Not to mention that, I think I knew a 17-year-old who was in 8th grade. Yeah.
I think being embarrassed is a proper response to certain situations. That's all I'm saying. But you can go ahead, Black Rule, if you're ready.
No, I mean, like I said, I read the article. I'm kind of transitioning from any sort of anger or resentment about what the women are doing to just resignation and kind of sadness and pity. It's almost like they're on they're hell bent to become extinct, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. Now, you younger men, I wouldn't expect you to be particularly empathetic. I'm not at all suggesting that you should. I guess because I am older and because I have grown daughters and whatever. So there's a part of me that cannot help but view this thing from a somewhat fatherly lens, and it just all seems very sad that they are literally hell bent on becoming extinct, and all of the rhetoric, all of the language, all of the behavior is just all very self-destructive. And the moment any critical mass of you guys really, and I'm not talking about you individually, because I think most of the gentlemen who frequent your channel are already here, but uh, you guys in general, or young men, particularly young black men in general, figure things out. It's pretty much over. You guys are gonna go, you're gonna go and travel the world and get other women, or maybe just, maybe you don't even consider it to be worth it and kind of check out, and that's just gonna be it. Because it's like an express train going downhill into hell right now. And ain't a damn person or a damn thing can stop it. So I guess I'll end my opening statement there.
Well, y'all
Yeah,
fellas do
yeah,
know
boo
that
boo.
they practice being obnoxious. They practice being disagreeable. Like, this is on purpose. They practice not being wise. They practice it. And nowadays, it's hard to find a woman that's 25 years old that ain't slept with 50 dudes. It's a wrap. I'm with Black Guru. It's a wrap.
I won't say it's a wrap, but I will say to climb back up out of that hole they in, it's gonna be a miracle. They're gonna have to
Hey,
turn into a mutant, get some Wolverine claws, and get some flying ability, and maybe some laser eyes to cut some stuff up so they can get out of this hole. But I don't even know if that's gonna help. So we'll see.
gentlemen, Kev, we don't do hoe shaming around here, okay? I love my hoes. Stop telling them that they have high body counts. Who cares? I don't. I love them. Okay? Stop it. Leave my hoes alone.
Well, I mean, I think a hoe who's honest that she's a hoe, I don't think nobody gonna trip about. you know. But but no, I'm gonna stop. Champ is here. Go ahead, Champ. While I say
Hey,
something.
what's going on?
Go ahead.
That was funny what True Stella just said. It's going to take a miracle. You must have got that from Denise Williams from back in the late 70s, early 80s song. But anyway, yeah, brothers. I wouldn't say it's quite a rap, but it's going to be very, very difficult to find the right kind of woman in this day and age, because these ladies, if they're by the time they're 30, they are going to have at least maybe one or two or three children from different men, running these streets and everything else. And now with the situation, with the government shut down and everything else, you notice that all of a sudden some of these dating apps are starting to come with profiles and everything else. And by the way, when you go through the dating app and everything, they lie about being, having no children, because when I went on a date recently with a lady and I checked her profile, and we were going out one day, and I said, "You have a child? You have how many?" She said, "I have two children." I said, "Oh, that's interesting, because you had a profile that said that you had no children and everything else." And I'm like, and after that, I had to break. Just had to switch my phone number. I mean, I didn't switch my phone number, but I had to block her after that, because you don't want to be with no woman who go up there and say that she don't have no children, but yet she's got she's got three different children from different men and everything else. So it is a challenge. It's a challenge in this day and age. and I do agree with Black Guru about, I think you said Black Guru about the passport bros or something like that, traveling around or something like that. Yeah. We just got to expand our options and everything else. Just be careful if you decided when you want to go outside and be with a white woman and everything else. But I'll land my plane there.
All right. All right. Now I'm gonna say this. According to the article, it was saying these issues with with the women not wanting to post their man for these social media reasons. For they're afraid they're gonna lose some followers. Now, do I believe that's a real thing? Yeah, I do believe women would say something that's stupid. I don't want to post my man because somebody gonna get mad. I'm gonna lose some followers. Some of them say something about, people may get jealous of you or whatever the case is. And I can understand that. I can understand that. But again, if it was my daughter, you don't post anybody you're not married to, because to me, that's not a real relationship where you're supposed to be proud of it like that. I mean, you should be proud of your man, but you ain't supposed to be proud what I'm finna tell strangers that I don't really have a true connection to, that this my man and this dude ain't marrying you. Because, like I've told young ladies myself, I say, so you finna basically post a body count? Is that what you doing? Are you gonna post somebody you didn't have sex with, or are you posting people you had sex with? Because if you just gonna be posting man after man after man, eventually guys gonna pick up she posted a body count now. You know, you know. And then keep it real, unless you're a virgin, everybody gonna assume you slept with every dude you post. Does that make any sense? Now, I'm not saying hoes got to hide what they doing. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if you're a woman and you want a husband one day, it's probably best for you not to be a hoe. And not only is it best for you not to be a hoe, it's definitely probably not best for you to post confirmation you a hoe either. Which is why I want my daughter to be a virgin until somebody marries her. It's that simple at the end of the day. She has a lot more leverage, and truth be told, she can get a better upgrade when she's a virgin, because men value virgins, and you could get somebody you probably wouldn't been able to get if you weren't a virgin. It's that simple at the end of the day. Because people may say, well, Rod, you being biased, or would you say the same thing about if you had a son? It don't work for me in that way. See, I have to live in the real world, which means I got to tell my daughter how the real world's going to treat her. As a virgin, you'll get treated one way. Once it's confirmed you're not a virgin, you're going to get a different treatment, because that's the real world. My son, no, it won't make a difference whether he had a lot of sex or not. It actually won't make no difference. Truth be told. Might
Roger,
even work against him if somebody think he is a virgin. How warped some people are.
I don't want to go too far down this particular direction because it's kind of off subject, but I do want to maybe put it out there for future discussion. I am suspicious of the value that Black men give to virginity as a group, not individually, not amongst more enlightened men. I would just say in general and collectively, I am suspicious of that.
Why are you suspicious? What do you mean by suspicious?
I
What?
don't think the vast majority of Black men are being raised to really appreciate what that means and the implications of that. I think there's an upbringing associated with that goes beyond just the act of sex itself. It's
Yes,
about dedication. It's about
But
even the approach to women that you're going to have as a man
yep.
when you've been raised with that expectation. And I don't think the vast majority of Black men have any appreciation at all for what that means. They might appreciate it with them being the first, but I don't think they assume the full accountability and responsibility for that.
Okay, you know what I'm gonna do, Black Rule. I'm gonna put that show on the docket. We gonna do that show, and I'm gonna go ask some younger guys. I'm gonna try to get the opinions of 30 and under, maybe even 25 and under. But I'm gonna specifically go get some younger men's opinions about that. We gonna put that show on. We ain't gonna talk about it today, y'all. We gonna put it on the docket, okay? We gonna do a show about Virginia.
I would imagine
You can ask any age.
I would imagine
You can ask
there's
any age.
lots of material, but in social media, I imagine there's lots of stuff in social media on that subject that might support my suspicions.
What you know? What I would check
But
social media
like I
as
said, I don't
well.
want to distract too much. I don't want to distract too much from the subject. It's something that has come up. Rael in particular has sort of championed that particular argument, and I appreciate why. But I am suspicious of how prepared we would be where that was a real social and cultural criteria, because there would be some responsibility on our part to uphold that, and I think the vast majority of us are not at all prepared to pay the full cost of that. But again, I don't want to distract too much from that.
We'll definitely do a show about it. I'm gonna definitely make a show about that. And of course, I will look up some social media stuff. And since Kevin say all ages, then hey, I'm gonna do it for all ages. Then, but we'll definitely get that in. We'll definitely get that in. But we're gonna stick to today's subject about it being embarrassing to have a boyfriend, which I think most women with the boyfriend should be embarrassed. And why do I say most? Because if you think about it, did you have a boyfriend for more than 2 years? Because if the man wanted to marry you, you'd already be getting this done or would be done if 2 years had passed. It's never took a man a long time to want to marry a woman. It has taken a men a long time to accept I may just have to marry her in order to get a wife. But to want to marry a woman, it's never taken a man a long time to do that. He never seen a woman that he wanted to marry, and it took him a long time to get the job done. There's women right now who get upset because a man will be in a relationship with them for years. Next thing you know, he get a new woman, and he done married her in 6 months. No, he wanted to marry her. He just never wanted to marry you. So the man didn't change. He just changed the person he was dealing with. And boom, it was able to happen in no time at all. But we got a couple new gentlemen that done came up to the mic. So let me get them in. We got Rael, then we have the nameless protagonist. Rael, you got the mic, brother.
You can let nameless go. Go ahead.
All right. The nameless protagonist, you got it.
To the chat and the instructors on the panel. Os. I'm not. Appreciate you, fam. I'm not going to be long. I wanted to just present this for you guys to sort of take a look at and maybe consider talking about in the future, Roger. I know the specific gradient of outcome you're talking about when you describe the scenario in the title of today's show. So I'm not trying to be obtuse and just be contrary or even just offer nuance where it's not needed. I want to add this just to really actually increase the gradient so that you can potentially articulate this even better. Because I think that there is a dualistic modern expression on the way relationships are changing. If you guys are familiar with attachment theory, I think this can really go a long way in explaining a little bit of what's kind of going on. And it may be a useful tool for you to begin to analyze these emergent behaviors. I think that for the most part, people form secure attachments. And what that means is they're comfortable being intimate with people, they're comfortable being in relationships, and they're also comfortable being alone. There isn't this dire need to have either or. And what tends to happen is oftentimes that is the product of stable backgrounds, stable environments, stable family, having your needs met. We've seen what that looks like on Maslow's pyramid. what you get oftentimes and many other times are deviations of that, which may not be people's fault, but you can get anxious attachment modalities, which, they're more insistent. We've developed more recent vernacular to ascribe that. You'll get terms depending on who's saying it, but I guess the more common term would be like needy, or people who are not comfortable with being alone for very long, or they have a demand for demonstrations of commitment. We've all had exes that have behaved this way. Some people listening now may behave this way to some degree, but this is understood in general as a anxious attachment. You've also got its inverse, which I think is, generally speaking, likely what we're talking about here to some degree, which is the avoidant attachment, which is the complete opposite of that. And with the avoidant attachment, the idea, Rael, this is your freaking.
I'm literally
your
looking
topic,
at stuff right now. I was going to go into that.
Oh man, we on the same page then, fam.
We on the same page.
So I'm gonna complete this and I'm gonna hand it over to Rael because I gotta finish getting ready for work. But I wanted to present this as a useful tool, and Rael will explain to you why it's useful. The avoidant attachment piece is important because I think that society is encouraging of avoidant attachment because it can function on its own, and in many instances it prefers to be on its own. So what happens with many people is, if you are part of the great majority who do form secure attachments and expect secure attachments, you get a bad experience with people who are avoidant, and you can interpret that in a lot of different ways, where you're seeing that people who then mirror avoidant attachment behavior get rewarded with longer term relationships or better cooperation out of those relationships. And while it may be a reflexive action to say, oh, well, you should just go get somebody else, I think that for the most part, when we're looking at the averages of these relationships that begin to form, that most people may find it easier, especially if they're not the only ones going through this, to just adopt avoidant attachment like behavior. And this is how you get the forever relationship, non-relationship outcomes in a lot of different instances. I wanted to present that for people to consider because the attachment style theory, I think, can explain and ground a lot of suspicions so you can then begin the process of elimination and zooming in on what the issue may actually be in particular. That's all I wanted to present.
Okay, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. You got it, Rael.
Great minds think alike, nameless. Peace, Roger. Peace of the panel. Peace of the chat.
Hey, what you trying to say about the rest of us?
No, because
I'm joking.
Yeah, because he went to something that I was going to address. It's kind of complicated, but it's simple at the same time once you understand the core elements of it, as far as attachment theory, pioneered by John Bowlby. With this particular female, and this is because this is no different than when females were complaining about women saying that they were defined by their husbands. Okay, which it's normal because you take on your husband's name, so you're defined by the family that he starts with you. So this is just a step down from that, using the girlfriend as the stand-in instead of a wife. And like Nameless was talking about, this really is an example of avoidant attachment. And one of the particulars of an avoidant type person is is that they mistake self-reliance. They mistake independence with as self-reliance, and they're two different things. Obviously, as an adult, there's an aspect of being self-reliant. You know, whether you go to school or whether you go into you're working a job or whatnot, doing things on just a basic human level to help you basically survive. The independence aspect is basically saying you don't need anybody to survive. And so, which is obviously something that is very prevalent in our group as it relates to the females. When nothing could be further from the truth. The science doesn't even back it up. The science and the biology doesn't even back that up. Um, I'll give y'all a resource that I think is a great resource to really understand this phenomenon. Written by a medical doctor and a psychotherapist as well, which I think was very important because the psychotherapist shows obviously the psychological aspects of this, but the MD shows the consequences from a biological standpoint, from a physical health standpoint, and how the psychological fuse the maladies that come from the psychological disposition from a health perspective. It's called Attach, the New Science of Adult Attachment and How It Can Help You Find and Keep Love. Um, I think this is a great resource to really truly understand, because we have to understand what we're hearing when we see these types of things. Um, her article is just really a call to arms. It's a way to throughout the history, women have always been defined by the men that they have. The reason why we know this is because um, whenever a woman meets a man that she thinks is the man of her dreams, the first thing she does is run to her friends and want to spill the beans. She wants to share it. That's the kind of effect that a man has on a woman. So it's not like that for guys. Guys will tell their friends that they met a really special woman, but it's not like not screaming and shouting like women do. So her problem, and I read a little bit more about her. She also suffered from ADHD as well. That she got diagnosed in 2020. Also, what's interesting is that she's her background is she's Nigerian, but she lives in Britain. So that's something within itself, because she has taken on I don't need a man motif that has been promulgated in Black American females. She's taken that on, which shows the power of media and how it can travel and influence. So, but this is nothing more than an avoidant personality, um, mistaking independence with self-reliance. And from a health perspective and from a science perspective, people have proven that this notion of independence and not needing anybody, whether you're male or female, is completely erroneous. And it actually is probably contributing to a lot of the health issues that a lot of females are facing in the West, especially in American society, due to the fact that I think it's close to 50% of American females are taking at least one pharmaceutical drug. So I think that if a lot of these women would develop healthy actual marriages with men, that number would significantly drop. Men bring a lot of uh, good health in terms of instead of women having to go outside to the world seeking external validation, a lot of the times that they do that we see on social media, men could curtail that need because they're sitting there with their presence and validating you, especially when they're expressing and showing and demonstrating love for you and things of that nature. So this is something that really needs to be really thought about more, because a lot of times it's we're seeing the same circular thing happen and be talked about, and it's because of this lack of understanding as it relates to attachment theory and how it affects human relationships.
Now I'm gonna
Well,
say,
it's a cope for
go ahead.
it's a cope for it's a cope for
Hmm.
them not marrying, not making families, not making children, not establishing themselves as wives and mothers.
Hmm.
That's what it really is. Because when you read the article, a lot of it is sort of a knee jerk response to Someone's got something going on in the background. I don't.
Yeah, somebody needs to mute up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Somebody. It's a cope for the fact that they don't have those things, that their lives are in a constant state of upheaval because of the frequency for which they change quote partners. I'm putting that in quote because I'm using it for the purposes of this discussion. I think that's a fallacious term in general with respect to male-female relationships, but since we're talking about bullshit here anyway, may as well use bullshit term. The frequent exchanges, changing of partnerships is very much a part of what this is. And this coping, well, I can't show this guy or I can't let people know who I'm with because inevitably I'm likely going to sabotage whatever's going on with this person. And then now I got to somewhat embarrassingly explain to everybody why I went from being happy and he's the one to he's a dog and he's scum and I would never want to see or hear from him
again. Right. Well,
and all the hypocrisy and fallaciousness therein. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you said that too, because one of the things this book is very fascinating. I will say, it's a very cerebral approach, but it's written in a very layman's term type of way, where it's easily understandable, and how the MD and the psychotherapist really delve into this. And your attachment forms in your infancy, and obviously, if you come from a healthy, loving background, you're more than likely going to have a secure attachment style. But this style actually plays out into your adulthood. And the problem is that how can you have a healthy attachment style when all of the women in your family are constantly telling you that you don't need men? I mean, that is the complete opposite of what the truth is. And so the sad thing about it is that when you're presented with opportunities to find love, more times than not, in these type of situations, you're really your attachment style is so broken that you have to find some reason to find fault with what the person is doing. So in this particular book, there was a particular woman who had a dude. She acknowledged that he was a caring and caring man. He made her feel like no other man, but she was constantly trying to find fault with him. And it was very interesting that how when she broke up with the guy and she spent time away from him, all she could do was lament at what she lost, because the pressure of forming the bond through the attachment was no longer there. So because she didn't have the pressure to perform, she could actually really appreciate the man for who he was, which actually was a good man. But because her attachment style was so broken, she couldn't appreciate him while he was there. It goes back to something I would tell my ex-wife before I divorced her. I would tell her before I divorced her. A couple of times where I told her, "You're going to appreciate me a whole lot more when I'm gone than when I'm here." And so it's that kind of thing, when that attachment style is broken, a lot of it is pushing the man away, to the point that you make a religion out of not forming bonds with men. And that's what this has become. It's almost become like a religion where broken women are considered saints amongst younger broken women, because in their mind they believe that their independence is on their own volition, when the reality is that men leave you to your state of independence when you show that you're not quality and capable of actually forming the bond. So the independence is a figment of their own imagination. It's not real. Because if it was truly real, these women wouldn't even talk about relationships. If you have no desire to have any relationships or be defined by the man you have, why are you talking about men? It shouldn't even be on your radar. You shouldn't even be involved in the conversation. But the fact that they claim that they are independent of men, but they can't stop talking about men, shows you that that really truly is just a mask for really what is really a deeper layer of problems beneath.
Well, I think well, I mean, I do believe you are correct as far as this is their way of coping. They don't have a very high expectation. You know, they definitely deal with some low self-esteem, and to me, it makes sense. They should have it because when your mama couldn't get the job done, and your grandma couldn't get the job done, and your aunties couldn't get the job done, yeah, you might want to have a little concern that you know what you're doing. Makes sense to me. So saying I don't want it is better than, you know, because, you know, women, the way women's mind operates, that's better than saying I'm not good enough for it and I don't want to be judged by where I fail. And I can understand that from a human perspective. You know, I wouldn't necessarily enter a competition about quote unquote good hair. I'm balding. Yeah, I'm gonna lose that. I cut my hair off. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna win a competition about quote unquote good hair. Whether you see white people hair as good hair, black people's good hair, that's just not my wheelhouse. I have no expectation that I'm gonna win that contest. Now, for women, having a man is so important to their identity. Well, how do I get judged by something that's not that? Because I'm not good at this. So that's what I see it as. It's just people don't really want to call women out, and it's culturally not okay to embarrass women. So you know, people come up with these articles like this to cope with the fact that they losers at the end of the day because they just don't want to say it. You know, most people would never call a woman a loser, even though they losing right in front of them at the whole time. And the fact that no man wants you to be his, you know, for real. Because when you talk about marriage, that's a whole different level. No man wants you to be his for real. It's probably a very difficult thing for a woman to accept. No man wants her to be his actual woman, his actual wife. You know, all the things that's attached to that. Nobody's trying to show you off. That's gotta hurt.
Well, the fact that she wrote an article about being a girlfriend is very telling. Number one, she's Nigerian. From her culture, she's not even supposed to be a girlfriend anyway. I mean, that's just the facts.
Well, that's true because yeah, that don't jive with their culture.
That don't
That don't
even
jive.
they don't even align with the culture that she comes from. And so that you know that's off the top. Secondly, this is the results of what feminism has done. It has it has inculcated women with the notion of being perpetually in misalignment with their masculine half, and so they're at constantly at odds. So there used to be a time where women used to celebrate another woman finding happiness with a man. I know that it seemed like it was in the prehistoric times, but that used to actually
Eternity.
happen.
It's an eternity.
You know what I'm saying? That used to exist. You know what I'm saying? Now it's gotten to the point where females, particularly the so-called women of color, um, are really at the forefront of trying to make women feel like crap for having somebody in terms of a man. Now, I'm not saying that the boyfriend girlfriend thing is the proper way, but for them, it's not even that. It's just the fact that you have a man. It because they were saying the same thing when it was women talking about being happy, you know, with husbands. It's really about the fact that it's almost like they view you as a woman being happy with a man as a betrayal. And it's interesting because I had an ex who, when her mother married her stepfather, she basically admitted that. She basically admitted that her mom, she felt like her mom betrayed her. So even though she
Abandoned.
she
Yeah,
would talk
abandoned.
about how
Because before it was just them
right
surviving with
surviving.
whatever
Yep.
they were doing.
Right.
When she got a man, that was a perception probably of an abandonment that she
Yes.
was being essentially left alone. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
That's exactly how she responded. And what I had to tell her was, and this is how you know, this is how you can see the generational damage. I told her at that particular time, I said, unlike you, your mother grew up with her father. Okay. Your mother knows what it's like to have that masculine force in her life leading her. So even though she went wayward, got into the streets, got into trouble, your mother wasn't raised that way. She wasn't raised to be that kind of woman. So when she came back down to earth, she recognized what she needed, which was very interesting because it's interesting how the women in her church responded to her mother getting married, even though she had children out of wedlock. A lot of there were women who wanted to get with this
But
particular guy.
it's almost like Rael, they gave their children a disease that they themselves had an immunity to.
Right.
That's what you're describing.
Right. She said that it was so funny. As much as we've talked about single mom, this was hilarious. She said that when her mom got married to this guy, there were black women in the church who literally were saying, "Why did he marry her? She had kids out of wedlock. I don't have children." Like there were women who were actually saying that. So even though when we're saying it, they take offense to it, but when it affects them, they see the wisdom in what we're saying. So, and this was damn near 20 years ago. So what I'm saying is that with her mother had the masculine leader in her father, whereas she never had that. And I told her, I said, your mother understands she needs a leader. She understands that. I said, you don't because you never had your father in that particular position. You know what I'm saying? So you can't understand it. I said, but she does. I said, and at the end of the day, your mother is going to choose her covenant of marriage over you because it trumps the parent-child relationship. I said, what you need to focus on is getting your own covenant. I said, because your mother, no matter how much you think she should, is never going to choose you over her husband. She's not supposed to. You're supposed to get your own. And so that we're coming up on that generation of females where their mothers are going to start passing away. And it's going to be very interesting to see how these females really exist out here when they don't have that female in their family, most likely their mother or maybe a grandmother, but most likely their mother. When their mothers pass away and they actually have to be out here by themselves, it's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of females who have no
It's going to
ability
be.
to form bonds with men. It's going to be rude. I'm telling you.
All right, now
Well,
I
I
want
mean,
to say,
I
oh,
think that's what we're seeing. I mean, I think we're seeing several generations of that. The difference, though, is you had a government that, sort of supplemented, what, the absence of the father materially, in terms of resources and all the social programming in lieu of fathering and that sort of thing. What was going to be interesting going forward is as those things, those artificial supplements go away. Now they're really going to start feeling the pinch of not having had a daddy. Now they're really going to start feeling it much more acutely in terms of just resources, in terms of like I say, a lot of this programming that we've witnessed over the generations has been to try to serve as a supplement for the absence of fathers, all these social programs, not for profit, etc. As that stuff go away, the stark reality of not having had any fathering is going to become much more acute and painful.
I'm gonna say there is a reality to the betrayal. They did betray him. When you teach your daughter you don't need no man, and you make all these arguments about how men no good, and you try to make sure your daughter does not see a man as a good, viable option, and then you go get married, yeah, that's betrayal. You literally did the thing you told me I shouldn't do. Hey, that's betrayal. I'm your daughter. I trusted you. I thought you were gonna tell me the truth. When other people lied to me, I was supposed to come to you so I can get the real scoop from you. And then you went and did the very thing you told me a woman really shouldn't do. And you with the being that you told me is gonna betray me, that I can't trust, and that hates me or something like that. And you went and married one of them. Yeah, that sounds like betrayal to me. I don't know how else you would address that other than that a betrayal. Because if you lied to me on a regular basis and I see you do the exact same thing you told me you wasn't going to do, I would consider that a betrayal. The only question is just
Well,
how
like I
big it
said,
is.
they gave them a disease that they themselves were immune to or could recover from. Like she at some point had disease, but always had within her some inborn ability to recover from that disease. But she gave it to a child that does not have that capability. So it's a profound betrayal.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think the article, I mean, I didn't research the author, but I am going to say there's stuff in there that it definitely seems like it's trying to push women to being LGBT, because you ain't going to get one at the end of the day. The men are not going to take a liking to you, and you need to kind of accept that right now and go get you a girlfriend, if anything. But like I say, I don't agree with why the article is saying that you shouldn't have a boyfriend. But when I think about the concept of it, I got to think about, okay, what's a boyfriend to most women? Some dude has been with you for years and years and years who don't like you enough to marry you. That's like a 16-year-old in 8th grade. It shouldn't be happening. Why would you be 40, 45, 50 years old and you got a boyfriend? Why would you be 35 with a boyfriend? I mean, when you think about it, contextually, it sounds stupid. I understand 19, 20, 21, but when you start going into your 30s and you got a boyfriend, sound like you don't know how to do stuff well. Because I got to be realistic about this. A man understands he has to take care of a woman if he's going to marry her. He's got to do a whole lot. Whatever comes ashore is his responsibility. And a man saying, I don't want to do that for you. When it's snowing outside, I don't want to go wipe off the car for you so you don't have to do it. I don't want to clear the snow off the car. I don't want to clean off the driveway. I don't want to, clean the gutters for you. That's that don't sound pleasant. I'm just, saying, I'm trying to think of this from a woman's perspective. A man that's saying he don't want to buy my groceries
But
don't sound good.
They don't really. It's interesting because a lot of this talk about protecting Black women. A lot of it is about what you're describing there, Roger. This sort of communal, uh, protection and preservation of women. A lot of that is being argued in lieu of not having that father and or husband to do that thing for them. So when you hear all this talk about, Black men not collectively doing this and not doing that in the community and all that, it is to attempt to try to make do of what their mothers denied them, either at birth or maybe even at conception, where it was clear she was not going to have that or was not going to provide that to her children the moment she lied down with whomever that child's biological father is. So that's all being disguised. The reality of the failing of their mother's decision making is being disguised amongst a whole lot of other doctrinaire and politicizing and whatever about what Black men as a whole aren't doing, etc.
Well, that's why it's been so important when you share the information about your in-laws and how, in a lot of ways, they really made the women toe the line as in terms of their responsibility to keeping family together. There used to be a point in time where a woman who was divorced was almost looked like she had the plague in society, for not being able to keep her family together. Whether she divorced the man or whether he divorced her, it didn't even matter. And so, because of that, this is why I constantly tell females, when it comes to being with a man, your family is supposed to give the approval of the man, not your girlfriends. If your girlfriends are having a say so in what kind of man you're with, you're all wrong, because they're girls. They're not wives. And even if they were a wife, as far as I'm concerned, in order for them to give you an advice about a man, they should be married a minimum, to me, at least 10 years to really understand a man. If they've only been girlfriends, they're not qualified to give you any advice about a man. They never had one. The only way you have a man is when you have a husband. So for this female to be 30 years old trying to give advice to other failed women when she's failed herself, not only goes against just the nature of things, it goes against her whole cultural disposition where it's supposed to be. She's not even in order to even be writing anything about how women should approach men or what their relationship to men are. She is not even living up to her own cultural heritage and standard. And this is the problem with social media, um, and media in general. Um, female failed females know how to make failure look very good. They know how to make it look good. And a lot of times, many females friendships are based around them all lying to each other. Most females don't have friendship. That's the reason why, if you ask most females, would they rather have a man or females as friends, most of them will say men, because they know they truly don't. I've had black women who told me this. So they don't even really have true friendship. What they have is failure. And as long as they can celebrate with other failures, they're okay, as long as they don't have to be a failure by themselves. And that's what these types of articles are meant to inspire. It's meant to inspire women to keep failing at life. Because many of these females, I would argue, they have realized for quite some time in their lives that nobody is ever going to marry them. That they know that. Because you can't even speak like this with the thought process in your mind that there's a chance somebody is going to marry you. That is the reality. They know they're not going to get married. And if they know that they're not going to get married, they shouldn't even be engaging in the conversation, because they really shouldn't have no interest in it, but they do have interest in it because their interest is to see other women fail too.
Well, I mean, no woman want to be a loser by herself. Let's just be real about that. And to me, I think women know that because they know themselves. It's just something they don't want to recognize, because to recognize that as a real thought, it's embarrassing. And women are embarrassing to themselves. Like, you should be the one person that you're comfortable with at all times. Nothing should be so bad for you that you can't deal with yourself. You shouldn't look at other people the way you look at yourself. Well, under a certain context. It's like if you got sick and if you defecated on yourself, you ain't supposed to be at the point where you can't live with it. You supposed to go clean yourself up, you know what I'm saying, and present yourself better. But you should be able to get over that. Now, the people who were aware that you've done it, you might have been the same. They may look at you totally messed up the rest of their lives, but you shouldn't look at yourself totally messed up the rest of your life. That's a ridiculous concept. So I do think, because women don't want to fail by themselves, and I think that's really what the desire is. I don't want to fail by myself, because I could do something to avoid failure, but I would have to not be lazy to do that. So since I'd rather be lazy, I just don't want to fail by myself. You know, If I can get you to give up your man, now it's both of us. And if we can get our other friends to give up their man, now it's all of us. So I think that's the direction a lot of them go in. Now I still do think that she was kind of pushing some LGBT in it myself personally, but I do believe she probably just has the concept that she ain't gonna never have no husband. And the fact that she's Nigerian probably just boasted that because of how Nigerians work differently in Nigeria, which to me explains why she ain't back in Nigeria. Because whatever she went over there for, I'm pretty sure she could have did it in Nigeria. And if she couldn't do it in Nigeria, if she finished the job, why are you still over there? So, she probably rejected her own culture, but no, she still ain't good enough to be in a wife in somebody else's culture. That's what I'm gonna have to assume, at least for now.
Well,
Well,
past
you
25,
the
she out there in that culture.
well, you mentioned the LG. It's almost impossible to separate from, sort of hardcore feminism, or maybe you can make just a broader argument about feminism in general. It's very difficult to separate one from the other because, in the end, to the degree what you're doing is about sort of creating some antagonized state between men and women and constantly trying to create new ways of antagonizing relations between men and women. Lesbianism or whatever they call it, queerism or whatever, is inevitable. Is inevitable because these are still human beings, for example. They still want some, comforts of something of some sort, amorous or intimate or whatever. So it's almost a given that that's going to happen. And that's why it so often either is directly featured or implied within so much of what they do is not a coincidence that that was featured, for example, in The Color Purple. That was a not just a romantic thing. That was a political decision to include that as a feature in that particular story, and in the same or very similar sorts of story, that their liberation is tied ultimately to them being romantically separated from that. Ultimately.
Well, if you go back to the article, she said she acknowledged what the reality has always been. She said women were rewarded for their ability to find and keep a man with elevated social status and praise. She said it became even more suffocating when this could be leveraged on social media for engagement and if you were serious enough financial gain. Now let's stop there. She is acknowledging that men, especially when they're the most, being productive men in society, and this is no different than in her own culture when traditionally they had the rites of passage that help boys become men and girls become women. The boys had to demonstrate some prowess to cross that finish line into manhood, and they had a responsibility. But that is a reward, though. Like when you do what you're supposed to do in the proper way, there should be a reward for that. And from a man and woman perspective, in terms of social relations, in terms of marriage, yes, people are going to look at you with certain esteem. Hell, when I come across a woman in society that's married, she's going to just get a different level of respect than a woman who is not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just the way it is. It's always been that way. But she's acting like that's a negative thing. Why would that be a negative thing? Well, it's a negative thing to her because she don't have it, and she ain't got no potential husband in sight. So the reason why she's looking down upon it is because she can't claim it. And so men don't look at women with a college degree and being college educated as something as a standard like, oh, I should value you because you have an education. That's not how men look at it. And so she's mad that men doesn't look at what she has accepted as a standard of success. If that's what you believe that success is for you as an individual woman, hey, have at it. Now, in the overall culture and society of men, that ain't never going to be the case across the board. So, with that being said, she's acknowledging what it truly is. You are elevated as a woman based on the kind of man you're with. And if you're a white, in general, men are going to respect that. Society overall, especially as it relates to other groups of people. Indians respect it. You know what I'm saying? Japanese respect it. You know what I'm saying? Middle Easterners respect it. For some reason, females like her, from as far as being quote unquote black, for some reason they can't accept the fact that this new crap that y'all tried to institute doesn't garner you the respect that you thought you were going to get. Even when it comes to whites, even when it comes to some of these liberal feminists, many of them are married females. So they ain't even buying into what you're saying. You're the only one that's really buying into this cap because it's not true. And you're coming and at 30 years old, especially based on her own cultural disposition, she has to acknowledge, damn, I might have failed. And you don't get a do-over. You don't get a chance to go back to 20. 20 is gone. Now you're 30. Now the real reality of biology is hitting you because now 80% of your eggs are gone at 30. Now you have to deal with the possibility, the true possibility that you might not ever find or have a man to love you. And if you live 80 years on this planet as a woman, that is a lonely existence on this planet to not have one man love you outside of your daddy in terms of like being with, in terms of marriage. That's a lonely existence for a woman because women ain't built for that kind of life. They ain't.
I want to read this. This is a sentence that was in there, and I'm gonna get you new guys in because see, Tunnel Runner came up and Perfect Timing came up. It says, however, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're being forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. To me, that stood out. Yeah, this is the end of one particular paragraph. I'll read it again. However, as our traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're being forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality.
Can I say something to that really quickly?
Go ahead, my brother, and then we're gonna
Yeah,
get Tunnel Run after
I
you and
mean
Perfect Timing after that.
that's the natural follow up thing. But yeah, go ahead.
Wow.
Well, this was following up you, Black Rule, and also the gentleman before me. This is a slippery slope that we're on, and this is something I mentioned a long time ago. And we're going to talk about this in Uru's new topic. Is when these women give up their virginity, no matter what age they do it, they feel it. They feel it. They know it's something they can't ever get back. They only truly feel the value of it when it's gone. And they keep on this slippery slope into all of this different stuff. Into, okay, well, maybe if I only been with 3 guys or 5 guys or 10 guys or 20 guys, or okay, well, maybe if I got a degree, maybe if I got this, maybe if I got that, maybe if I bought a house, it's going to make me more valuable to these men. It's a slippery slope that they've been on for never having gotten married, and in particular, not getting married to the first man that they laid with. And I'm gonna let that soak in on you fellas right there.
All right. Now, Tunnel Runner, you got the flow. Perfect Timing right after you.
All right. Am I coming through clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Roger, one of the biggest growing groups in America, and I'm sure it's the same in London, is 30% of black women say they are bisexual. That's why we hear this talk about partnership. And that's why we hear this thing about being embarrassed is because these women are trying to have all their options, being able to do whatever they want to do. And they don't want to be limited to anything, not even to heterosexual. They want to be able to do whatever they want to do. And only when they are total failures and out of the game do they look to find somebody to help them out.
And you know what? Yeah, I can't say you're wrong. Can't say you're wrong. All right. Perfect timing. What you got for us, brother? Because I think we're supposed to be reevaluating our heterosexuality at this point.
Well, I agree with Tunnel Runner. It's a great topic, Roger. And Rael and Nameless, y'all did some great education today. And I think a lot of people can learn from studying those 4 attachment styles and theories. But to what Tunnel Runner said, is justification for their failure. And I think that's what Uru was going to go. This is a natural progression when with the whole article. I agree with Roger, right? This whole thing, it's always been embarrassing to have a boyfriend, right? So the article is just it's a everybody gets a trophy mentality, right? This is a way to justify their failure. And like Uru was getting, this is a natural progression in what happens when you start to believe the delusion. This is what I was getting at when Roger said, who lied to them. This is them lying to themselves again in print. So I got receipts now, Roger. This is them deluding. Right? Because like you said, has it ever been cool to be 17 in 8th grade? It's never been cool to be 17 in 8th grade. I think some people, that's what Roger was saying. So it's always been embarrassing to have a boyfriend when you came home with mama. If he wasn't your husband, nobody looking at him with respect. The males and the females, that's just not respectable. It's always been that. This article is justifying the current deluded mental state, right? And the failure that is the product of that failed mental state. It's always been embarrassing to have a boyfriend. That's never been something you show off. But now, look, you know what? So Roger read that about heterosexuality. I was caught on 2 things when she said it's having a boyfriend now is Republican, and I really wanted to unpack that. Like, what is this deluded mind? How is that related to political? Right? She said that's what she said. Right? It's highlighted. Mm-hmm. Having a boyfriend is like Republican now. So I'm like, okay. And then the other thing is it's funny where Rael and Nameless went because, hey, Ra, you know what I was thinking of while y'all was having that great discussion? I thought about that TV show that we've talked about many times before, right? That directly relates to this topic. And that show was with that black woman on cable, and it was called Insecure or whatever. And it directly relates to these attachment styles, right? These insecure attachment styles and how they're unhealthy, but justifying them. That we talked about it many times on this panel, how this unhealthy behavior was justified and reinforced. And then she went and married an African. While reinforcing with ADOS FBA women, these unrealistic tropes and delusional standards, 6 foot tall, 6 figures, and all these things. That leads to the attachment avoidance style that Rael Nameless was educating us about. But that whole show could have helped, but instead it was a detriment. And to where so detrimental to where in 2025 there's a Vogue article trying to justify why everybody gets a trophy. Mama, that's my boyfriend. So it's the baby shower for somebody who ain't married. It's the gender reveal that I'm never going to. It's the baby shower I'm never going to. Everybody gets a trophy because it's not embarrassing, mama, to have a boyfriend. Having a boy, come on, man. Come on, man.
You on point, bro. Keep going, bro.
Okay,
You on
but
point.
now here's the thing with Issa Rae. Issa Rae is not ADOS.
Nope.
She grew up in America, but her background is something else. I don't recall specifically what it is.
I think she's
So
Senegalese.
when she married that African dude, you're Senegalese.
Yeah, I think she's Senegalese.
So when she married the African guy, she did what she was supposed to do. but she pimped out ADOS women in the process of enriching herself in some African dude. So she played the pimp game man pretty strong now.
Yes,
You
He
got to
did.
give her props for that.
yes,
He
sir.
did.
Yes, sir. She didn't bring home no boyfriend, Roger. She didn't bring no, she didn't bring home no 17-year-old.
You never saw her with a dude until she was married.
Amen. Elder.
He wasn't fucking around. You never
Matter of
saw her
fact,
with a dude until she was married.
I got a boyfriend. I got a boyfriend.
didn't she say that whole thing about or at least helping it when they was talking about well, I guess they was saying African American women should think about dating Asian men because they both bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah. Y'all go get y'all Asian dude while I'm married this African dude.
Yep.
Now they talk
Nobody runs game on women like other women, man. Nobody.
Exactly.
Hey, Roger, is this woman who wrote the article, is her name Oprah? Is that Oprah? Because it seems like Oprah is the same situation. She walking out at 50-something years old with Stedman talking about my boyfriend, and I ain't seen the man since.
Put him in the back.
I would say it wasn't Oprah this time. We don't have no records saying Oprah's attached to this. This might just be the work of Oprah when you think about Oprah's impact over the years. Could very much be the work of Oprah, but we can't say she attached this time. But it that is hilarious about what's going on with Issa Rae. So that's completely hilarious to me. Okay, but I mean. I do think there is a point because Purple, as you said, nobody the boyfriend was not like this proud thing. It was like, okay, you young and it's cute. We gonna see what happened with it. And that was about it. But nobody was like people don't brag on their daughter's boyfriend. Like my daughter's boyfriend is this. My daughter's boyfriend is that don't mean your daughter gonna ever experience any of that at the end of the day. It don't mean nothing. All that's up in the air because it's a quote unquote boyfriend. There's nothing guaranteed in this.
Every time I was presented as being some girl's boyfriend to her family, I felt like I was stealing something. Every time.
Okay.
I felt like I was stealing something.
He was. That's because he was, everybody.
Well, my thing is, we at some point in time we just got to be real about stuff. And at the end of the day, what do you have when you have a boyfriend? You have somebody who's yet to commit to marry you. Because at least even if he don't go through it, if he at least proposed, you at least get upgraded to fiance. So now it's like, now you can tell people he sees value in you when there's an intent to marry. But I mean, the boyfriend,
to that point, whatever good girl daddy ever liked a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Anybody like that's not what I'm accepting to this day. Right? I accept a suitor. I don't accept no boyfriend because we gonna have what do you define as a boyfriend? And this might be a hostile conversation. You understand what I'm saying? Who is excited about a girl?
If you presented yourself back in the day as a boyfriend, you might have got your shit cracked.
Come on.
Like to the wrong.
Yeah, because
usually something different.
Usually the first response was a question.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I have a daughter. Everybody else got a daughter. She better not bring me no boy.
Ain't no boyfriend around.
Well, I mean, realistically, the very first question a man would ask a young man about his daughter is, what is your intentions for my daughter? Like, there's a reason that's the question. Because he want to know, is you marrying my daughter or you just here?
Boyfriend ain't a real thing.
Nah.
So what's your intention? Because boyfriend ain't a real thing.
All right, so we got Shark.
And then you start looking down, shuffling your feet, trying to come up with something.
Not my baby, your baby, my baby, my baby, your baby, not my baby.
All right, we got Shark Says that came up, so let him get in, y'all. Go ahead, Shark.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Happy Monday to y'all.
Happy Monday, my brother.
Happy Monday.
I heard just about the whole joint. I just ain't catch Rael and Nameless going back, so I'm gonna have to go back and check that out. But as I was listening to everything you guys were saying, I think it's an even more diabolical plot to this, because the first step to being anything is a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So if that is not to be taken, then how do you get to fiance? How do you get to fiance? How do you get to husband? How do we get to, grandkids and children? Like the psychological beating that we getting right now is crazy. And I'm like, I don't even understand how we got here. I know people like, oh, slavery and welfare and this and this and that. And it's like, Uru said it earlier, this thing is over. And I still love my people to the death of me. You know what I mean? I still want to see black people make more black people, and try to conquer this world and get the African American name in the books like everybody else's culture is. But if we don't start figuring out how to beat propaganda and how to beat psychological ass whippings, we're gonna be fucked up. I mean, sorry, we're gonna be messed up in this game, y'all. Because we probably 19 years old in the whole scheme of things as it come to the world, and it's just crazy. I read the because I seen one of the OGs from the Manosphere talk about this, and then I went and read it myself.
Black Manosphere or the Manosphere?
I mean,
Which
Black
one?
Manosphere. I didn't see anybody from the other Manosphere do it yet. But pardon me, I mean the Black Manosphere. I seen somebody do, and it was just like, damn, I gotta go read this myself. And just reading it, it was kind of telling. But I don't think it was pushing to LGTB, because she said people. She did mention people a lot. You know what I mean? So I think they just on some nobody need to be with nobody, because the ugly people can't get something, so the pretty people shouldn't be able to get nothing.
Read the article again.
Read the article again, bro.
Repeatedly bemoaned heterosexual, normal. That was specifically a shot against men and against women being with men. That's what they say when they're selling something without directly selling something.
Yeah, exactly.
But go back and read it. I at least 4 or 5 times in that article, in what's a relatively short article, it was this whole heteronormative, hetero. We're against the heteros.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this. Now I don't know when the words changed up, because I view, and I've said it before, I didn't have a problem with the girlfriend boyfriend thing. I don't know when the language changed up. Somebody just put it in the in the chat. They said something about suitor. So, and I do remember the word suitor as being a thing. So at the end of the day, now I viewed it as, okay, you have to be, yeah, you my girlfriend, but you're auditioning to become my wife. This is not, we're not doing this for no reason. Like, you supposed to be trying to be a wife. You supposed to be making me comfortable enough to propose. And I do think that because that has not been pushed, that it has been a great detriment to the black community, because women don't even understand. Well, I ain't gonna say they don't understand. Women don't care about trying to perform at a high level for men at all. Because if you ask women what they supposed to do for a man, most of them don't even got a clue what you're talking about. They think they supposed to be there. Okay. And I guess every once in a while have some sex with them. But when you get married, then it's probably like 2-3 times a year once y'all been married for a while. So, they don't even have this concept of what to do for a man. So, this whole boyfriend thing, and I understand it for like young people. You 22, yeah, okay, I get it. But you 30 years old. You supposed to already be married, so why would you have a boyfriend?
It's diabolical right there. Sometimes I'll be trying to figure out, how do you say it to a 40-year-old woman? Like, why are you still saying, like, maybe Uru could bless me with some thunder to bring down on their behind. Because I be trying not to go, try to be sensitive with it. But it's just hard to even sound sensitive with a question like that when they're 40 years old. Like, that thing is over, man. That's TTO.
Well, the thing is, this is one of the things that we have to really get our hands around as Black American men, and really set a standard to which people from other backgrounds, whether they're the Caribbean or whether they're African, can engage in our interrelational aspects of how we get down. Because I put an article in the chat about Issa Rae and how she approached her marriage to the guy who she married, who was a Senegalese guy. she kept that stuff very private. And one of the things that I really don't like is cosplaying this blackness thing, because I think that one of the things that really hurts Black American men is when you have these people with either dual allegiances or allegiance to a whole different culture making comments about because a lot of this stuff is really centered around Black men. And one of the things I've learned throughout the years is that when these other groups of people want to engage on what they think Black culture is, because most of these people think Black culture is what they see on TV. We got Black lawyers, we got Black doctors, we got Black businessmen, we have Black scientists. I mean, the whole gamut. Like, we have all of that. But many times what these people want to do is do something that a lot of times goes against what their cultural norm is. And then when they got tired of wearing the black, costume, then they go back to their culture, and then they fit into the norms of what the culture that they come from is. Her father is Senegalese. So at the end of the day, she's going to have to adhere to the cultural standard. Now, her mother is Black American, but her father is Senegalese. And at the end of the day, she went back to her father's culture to get a husband. And the problem is that when you looked at her TV show, she tried to position Black men as being the problem. If you look at her show, she centered I forgot the guy's name that was on the show. The male counterpart that she just couldn't get things right with. He was Black American, and a lot of times they will, because I've actually heard. I remember one time this Ethiopian chick I was interested in undergrad. She said it. Well, the security guard that that knew her, she said it when she went back to Ethiopia and got a husband. And she said, well, Black American men don't want to get married. And it was like, I said, no, that's not true. I said, because I got married to a woman I met at school. I said, but before I met her, I said, I had her number before. I said, and she would never engage. So I stopped calling her. I was like, but she was hanging around hoes too. So when she was ready to be serious about what she know her culture requires, she went back to the men in Ethiopia and got some sucker. But she didn't, what she really proved was the fact that it didn't matter if you're Black American, it doesn't matter if you're Ethiopian, it doesn't matter. If you don't fit the standard of a wife for Black American men, we're not going to take you on like that. Period. We don't care how much you shame us. We don't care how many articles you write. And the reality of the situation is the fact that chick, Issa Rae, went back to their culture means you understand what it means to have a standard. So why would you expect us as Black men to not have a standard when we don't even accept ADOS women who don't fit that modality of a proper wife? We won't even make them our wife. We don't even make them our wives. So why would we make you? We would be very hypocritical if we did that. We would be very hypocritical if we accept you on some hoe type stuff as our wife, but criticizing Black American women for being a hoe. Like, we would be very hypocritical, but we're not doing that. And so we have to be very careful about these females from these other groups with these dual allegiances or having allegiance to another culture, speaking about us in a manner that is not true. We're not going to accept you as a wife, period, point blank. And we do know that in a lot of these cultures in Africa, there are males who are willing to accept certain types of females who have a very sketchy past. They will accept that. But ADOS American, ADOS men are very reticent in terms of accepting those types of women as wives, and the marriage rates prove that.
But it's one thing to take the box. It's a whole other thing to bring her home to mama. And that's for
Man,
sure.
for real. For
You
sure.
know, that's a whole other thing. You know. No.
Well, I think some of them African dudes, they be on this. I'm gonna baptize her back into the fold.
Right. Right.
And I mean baptize, and that baptize is analogous to a pimping.
Well, good luck to them. That's all. You know, some people do think the grass sweeter though, you know, or green on the other side. You know, there's people that believe that. So, you know.
Well, no, it's not just that. A lot of those women are very adept at running game on men in Africa too. Like, like if anything, like we're better at recognizing a female who is running game than a lot of times. A lot of times, men and there are certain men in African culture who just assume that when they deal with a female that's African, she's going to be more positive than negative. Man, your females, they got cell phones, they got access to apps globally, like they can get into all types of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's not as easy as keeping that lock on the females and their culture like it used to be. Hell, we can go on Instagram right now and we can see a whole bunch of profiles from African females twerking, ass everywhere. Yeah, they look good, but they doing all the types of things that their family wouldn't even support. And I've asked females from Africa this. I've talked to them and asked them like, yo, if y'all family saw y'all profiles online, they probably would beat y'all. And majority of the time they say, yeah, they would, because they wouldn't support it. So they even know that it's not right, but they're still engaging in that type of behavior. But they'll believe in the alpha and your way through type stuff because many of them have just seen that strong hand be laid down. But a lot of those females, I mean, they got a lot of females there. So, I mean, obviously you're going to have more corrupt females there than here. But they do exist there. And they'll try to play both cultures against each other. When they want to do the nigga shit, they'll engage with black men who are willing to engage with them on that. And then when they want to be married, they'll go back to the men of their culture and say, oh, I want a man from my culture because y'all are more serious, even though a lot of times those dudes don't really know that she was getting down with Pookie when she was in the United States. So, you know, we got to be very aware of not allowing these types of females.
You also got a high ratio of bedwitchery amongst them as well. Very high rate of bedwitchery.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, I do want to say, no. Well, first of all, if you're watching, if you like experiencing the best show on social media Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Chicago time, you might as well subscribe. Now, everybody, y'all hit that like button. Definitely hit that like button. And my thing is this, y'all. You know, like I said, I got very different in reasoning why a boyfriend should be an embarrassment because you're not supposed to live your life with a boyfriend. Any woman 30 plus years old talking about I got a boyfriend, it might as well be an admission of guilt. How did you get that old with a boyfriend? Because it don't make sense. I mean, yeah, I do have some self-esteem. So if I was a woman, I would believe, you know what I'm saying? You know, with somewhat close, like, I mean, I wouldn't be quite the same if I'm a female, but somewhat close to the same character. Man, why would I be proud of a dude carting me around from place to place to place? I'm in my 30s talking about this my boyfriend. I don't want to introduce my family to my boyfriend. I'm 30 plus years old.
But if he's her boyfriend, he doesn't have the same authority over her as a husband. That's why they like, when you was asking that question earlier, I was thinking about it because we didn't have a woman to ask it to, but I was thinking, I'm saying, well, we already know black women don't like rules and order. So if she does have a husband, she's gonna have to follow some kind of rules. But as far as a boyfriend, it's just like you my boyfriend. Like we just doing what we doing, even though we've been doing it for the last 30 years together. You know what I mean?
Now you know what? I do think that should be considered. That is saying something. I personally would be far too embarrassed, I believe, if I was a woman, to be 30 anything talking about this my boyfriend.
That's because you have a moral compass, bro.
Yeah, Roger. If you was a woman, Roger, you wouldn't be thinking straight anyway. So you don't know what you would be thinking.
Yeah. You talking about you speaking with a moral compass. These women don't have moral compasses, bro. They just have desires. That's it.
All right. Now I do want to say
Well,
this.
but you gotta look at it from their perspective. In an environment in which everybody is broke, the one who has $2 wins. You have to look at it
Nigga, that's
from
some
that
OG
perspective.
shit right there. That's some OG shit right there, nigga.
All right. Let me say this real quick. I was about to say something about money anyway.
So when the old woman is saying she got a boyfriend, that's what she's saying. She's saying she got $2.
Got my last $2.
These last $2.
Put $2 in the air for these $2 niggas.
Oh, well, let me say this real quick, y'all. Shout out to Yo from Florida. He hit me with $25 over the weekend. He said, much love and continued success. Now, Yo from Florida, I was supposed to get you out of jail. Oh, was that you? No, that was y'all Borgen. Well, I apologize to you. I was supposed to get you out of jail, man. I cut the cord on my computer and did not know it, so I was gonna do it last night and didn't realize I couldn't do it. So I'm gonna go somewhere to get on somebody else's computer and I'm gonna get you out. So you're not out yet, but I'm gonna get you out, brother. I know they got you in jail right now. I'm gonna bust you out. I meant to do it last night. I did actually attempt to do it and found out my cord was damaged on my computer and I couldn't turn it on. So my apologies about that. But I'm gonna go to somebody else's computer today. And well, that's my intent, to get somewhere today and get you out, bro. I'm gonna get you out. So my bad about that.
So to whoever that brother is, don't feel bad. He do the same thing to Gold P. Don't feel bad.
No. I wouldn't prioritize Gold P, and I would let that be known. I told him I was gonna get him out on the weekend, so that's literally what my intention is. And I found my cord was damaged. I couldn't turn my computer on, so that's what happened. If it was Gold P, I might have just forgot. Shout out to Gold P.
That's hard, dude.
Shout out to Gold P. No, I'm just tripping, y'all. Gold P, good people. He good people, real talk. But I want you to know that I didn't just leave you. I didn't just say that and then forget about you. That's not what happened. My cord is damaged. I couldn't turn the computer on. My apologies. But T'Challa has come up. So let me go ahead and let him get the mic. Or are you just coming for the after show? Or you want the mic?
Yeah, I'm pretty much coming for the after show, but I will say this. I did look at the video, and I don't know if you guys actually spoke to that, because I know sometimes you put videos in there that may or may not relate to the topic. But I will say this. The fact that Master P did what he did and he was successful, that's great. But it also indicates a problem in the fact that he had to move that way in order to be successful. I'll just leave it at that. Does that make sense, what I just said?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I am going to get back to showing some of the great things that black men do, because it's really not promoted. So I really put it in there for that reasoning.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the show, but I thought that's good. Shout out to Master P for how he moved. And next thing you know, what he say, he got about 5 houses over there where they said he couldn't buy.
Yeah, and he had to kind of do it on the sly and just show up and pay cash and do a whole bunch of other stuff and just show it with money and all this other stuff. Whereas maybe somebody else they get the benefits of the actual process. But anyway, that kind of indicates a problem. But shout out to him for getting it done, however he did it.
Exactly. And yeah, and I do plan to leave more stuff in there, y'all. It's just the promotion of black men doing good things, saying good things, being the great people that we are, that I know we don't see it that much. So at the Rise Report Live, we're gonna make it a little bit more noticeable. That's all. We're gonna make it a little bit more noticeable because it needs to be. We are a great group of people. We're clearly the best group of people in America. You know, I know it's hard to see it because of propaganda, but that's clearly us. And I'm gonna say for these women, if you in your 20s, I understand the term boyfriend. But even if you're gonna go in that route, why would you have a boyfriend for more than 2 years? He don't like you like that. It's that simple. You may not like the fact that he don't like you like that, but he don't. He can say whatever he want to say. If some dude don't want to marry you, just get out the way. Real talk. And you're better off with your virginity. And you need to start, if you already lost yours, you at least need to tell it to your friends. You're better off with your virginity. But just get out the way. Dude ain't feeling you like that. You can't make him do it. Okay? And most y'all ain't gonna seriously go to no man and say, look, we've been together for 5 years. I want to be married. What do I have to do to get this done? Now, if you want to be serious about something and you want to correct something, be serious about it. Go to your man and ask him, look, we done been together for 5 years. You know, you don't want to take it to the next level. What do I need to do to make you comfortable doing that? And that's how you're going to have to actually approach it. What do I need to do to make you comfortable? Because taking on a wife is not a silly task. It's a whole lot to go with that.
Women, you want to know why women are not going to do that? You want to know why? Very simple. Most have low self-esteem, and what they actually do is they use dating to create a false sense of self-esteem and confidence. The more attention that they get from guys, even if they have a boyfriend, they'll still go out on dates with dudes behind their boyfriend's back and all that type of crap. They'll still get attention online. It's not like they remove their social media apps and all that type of stuff where dudes could still be in their DMs and all of that. They're not going to do that because they need all of the attention to feel just on a general basic level that they have some worth and value. It's the weirdest thing, but they do this. If women said on their social media profiles, or if they said to guys that they talk to, no matter how many times you take me out on a date, no matter how many times you buy me this or whatever the case may be, I'm not going to have sex with you. You know what's going to happen? They're going to be at home by themselves because guys ain't going to spend that money. They're not going to spend any money. So what they'll do is they'll engage with men, even as a girlfriend. Like, she's not there because she really truly wants to be with that man. That's the reason why many won't even talk about marriage. If you ask the average female, well, you had a boyfriend, why didn't y'all have a conversation about marriage? Because most of the time they don't. Well, I didn't want to push the man away. Well, why would you? What's the reason? What's the reason behind you being with somebody that you can't even broach the subject of marriage about? And a lot of times it's because they know they're not marriage material. That's why they agree to being a girlfriend, because it gives them the semblance of a marriage. They know they're not wife material. They know this. The only difference is that they try to get the same kind of things from guys that they would get from a husband. It's just on a lesser scale. So for a lot of them, that's good enough for them, because if you truly are about marriage as a woman, you're going to put marriage front and center, and you're going to remove all the guys who have no interest or desire in marrying you specifically, so you can actually see the men who have the best potential for you, because most men in general don't want to marry the females that they approach. Most men, when they approach a female, it's going to be for sex. Well, and so with that being in mind, females really should have the complete opposite approach. They shouldn't take volume as seriousness. They should see which men are serious. And the truth of the matter is, when it comes to marriage, men are going to be more serious about a woman who is more chaste than actually physically available. That's the truth.
Well, I am gonna say this because what you're saying is true, but for those women, because my thing is people always say there ain't no solutions. For the women who actually want to get married, you want to humble yourself and go to your man in a humble position and say, why do you see me as someone not good enough to marry? I love you. I want to have your kids. Maybe some of y'all already got kids bound. What's going to help me get to the next level? So humble yourself if you're serious about it. At the end of it, because I ain't gonna let it be said that we just talk about it and then we ain't got no solution. No. Even though this is articles from more of a female perspective, there is something they can do. You got to be humble. You do to do it though. You got to literally go to the man and say, "What is it about me that's making me not good enough for you to want to propose to me? Because maybe it's something I can fix."
Yeah, Roger, I think you're sleepy right now. Did you eat lunch?
Yeah,
Because you talking
yeah,
a whole nother language right now.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
bro.
I'm putting it out there for the record. I just want the record to say we ain't tell them nothing. Okay, I just want that on record. We ain't tell them nothing. That's all.
I thought you had a fever or something like that. What he gonna say to tell a black woman to humble herself?
Them
Oh
sisters
no!
about to cut their whole arm off.
You
Hey,
can have a gun to their head and ain't no humble coming out.
I didn't make what the solution is. I'm just saying what it is. And humbling themselves is gonna have to be a part of it at the end of the day. I ain't saying they're gonna do it. I'm just putting out there that we told them. That's it. Okay. They ain't gonna be able to say we did this and didn't say something. I'm telling y'all what the solution is. Maybe you can actually get his request done, and maybe he will propose. I'm not guaranteeing squat, but maybe. You at least got a shot in the dark. That's all I'm saying. But y'all, we're gonna wrap it up because we are definitely at the 3-hour mark. Shout out to everybody for listening. Appreciate you big time. Again, if you want the realest show on social media, you want the best show on social media, you want to get where all the real conversations gonna happen, whether y'all like it or not, then you be over here at the Roger Report Live, 9 o'clock Chicago time. Y'all have a great day. Long live the Habitual Line Steppers. Shout out to everybody that came up. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.